You're up and it's still dark. Kick back with a cup of Joe. You know you've got friends waiting on 1620 The Zone. It's Happer and Schaefer. It's Connor and Mike. Listen on the radio stream or YouTube or podcasts. Anytime it feels right. It's Happer and Schaefer.
Good morning and welcome in. Happy Monday. It's Happer and Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, and Joey Colbert with you. May the 4th be with you.
Already.
Yep. Screw you guys. I had to say it
Screw
first.
you guys, I'm going home.
Joey's already triggered. The Celtics are dead.
They
People
are dead.
forget that the Celtics blew a 3-1 lead.
Don't forget, they're not the only one who did that.
That's true.
Don't forget.
That is true. Hi, Schaefer.
Did it make you feel better knowing that the 8 seed Magic also blew a 3-1 lead? Is
No,
that
it made me
like
feel.
the-
It made me feel
is
better
that the
that
balm here for the
it made me feel better that the 3 seed Denver Nuggets blew their chances against the depleted Minnesota Timberwolves.
That's true, but never had a 3-1 lead.
That's true.
In fact, we're trying to come back from a 3-1 lead.
I'm just
Are the
I'm
depleted
triggered.
Timberwolves worse than the 76ers though?
They're worse than them.
Maybe. I'm just looking at our NBA scoreboard for tonight, and it's really funny. You would think that it was the NBA play-in tournament. The Sixers and the Knicks and the Timberwolves and the Spurs. Not too long ago, these 4 teams were horrific.
Yeah,
That's true.
no.
Except for the Sixers. They've been pretty decent recently. Same with the
Just
Knicks, I
except
guess.
for trying to make it to the conference finals, which there is an opportunity presented to them.
Yeah.
Do you?
They
do
got
you
a favorable
think
matchup.
Who do you think moves on? Knicks or 76ers? And actually, what do you want to happen now that the
I wa-
76ers have done this? but
This
you
series,
also
this
hate
series,
it?
this series, absolute meteor series for me.
Oh,
I do not like both teams.
Joey's first. Well, I'm sure you've had big meteor series before.
Yes.
because you hate a lot of teams. But
Yes.
yeah, big meteor series. Okay, good. I can get on board with that. I'm saying Bing Bong. Bing Bong me
You're
up.
Bing bonging it.
Absolutely.
Is that still a thing from 5 years ago? Or
Yeah.
is that...
I want to see the crazy New Yorkers on the street yelling Bing Bong and tell everybody to bleep off. I want to see that again. I think that sounds great. Just if I could get that video one more time or 2 more times during this series, then it will be an accomplishment. I'm excited about that.
Meanwhile, on the other side, you have Detroit, Cleveland, which strikes me as a very odd conference
Once again.
semifinal as well.
Once again, we're talking about
And
the
that's
NBA play-in
your
tournament.
1-4 matchup, I think. Is that right?
Yep,
Yeah.
it's the 1-4.
Yeah, so just abnormal stuff for your final 4 teams, I think, in the East.
Very much so. And coincidentally for LeBron James, he gets to start his what could be his final playoff series on Cinco de Mayo. A lover
On
of Taco
Taco
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
There you go.
A lover of Taco Tuesday himself, LeBron James, gets to
Is
maybe
he actually
start.
going to leave the sport?
I don't know.
Nobody knows.
He could. I mean, I've seen an increase, a strange increase in LeBron. Not just LeBron pieces, but LeBron like, oh no, he's been really good and everyone knows these things, but you know the consistency of his entire career and things like that. He's been
It
very.
is really remarkable to see someone of that age with that many minutes in their career to just
Oh,
still
it's
be
great.
out there.
He's been awfully reflective lately
Yeah.
and things
Very
like that.
sentimental.
I just don't want the Aaron Rodgers. Sorry, Joey. We're not attempting to pick on you here. I don't want the Aaron
It's all good.
Rodgers like will he, won't he drama of someone at that caliber because it
Yeah.
would be even worse.
There will be a song and dance.
I don't want it.
There will be a song.
I
And
don't need
dance.
it.
Just wait until the middle of summer for any decision to happen.
You could argue that he
And it's gonna
created
happen
the
again.
song. He made the song and dance.
Oh no, he
did.
invented
he's
the
had
song
his
and dance.
own
Yeah,
whole thing. This is not to say that like
he's Mr.
he's
Song
ever
and
just
Dance.
done anything in the quiet of the night. it's to say that like I really don't that would be obnoxious hanging over all summer.
It would.
What's LeBron gonna do? Like it'd be on so many segments of everything that you would want to avoid.
How much is Bronny impacted
Yeah.
by all of this? Things of that nature.
These are the 5 best landing
Off to the
spots,
G
or
League.
whatever it would be.
Also, we had a great hockey game last night.
Nice
I
score.
don't know if it was great,
It was a nice
Oh, it
score.
was great.
but okay. Let me rephrase that. I don't know that hockey like purists would call it great because there's a lot of like.
Do hockey purists like when no goals are scored?
Well, I think there was a lot of bad play.
There definitely was that.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
you said you were watching it. If
Yeah.
you watched during intermission, these guys were
Oh,
trashing.
they were absolutely
They were
destroying
trashing
them.
what was happening on the ice. So it was very entertaining.
Yeah.
I am a definite.
They were like, I
casual.
think the Avs need to just go home, and they're like, these guys
Well,
suck.
right before the second intermission,
They're terrible.
there was a couple goals that were just like, okay, this looks like junior level hockey
They
kind
just
of
Passed
mistake.
it to the other
Just
team.
horrendous pat, like a 2-on-none fast break that you almost never see. Things of that nature. So again, like it was incredibly entertaining to me. The people who like really care about fundamental hockey would be like, what the hell?
They would be very
There's
confused.
15 goals at the end of this game.
Yep, there sure were. The Avs took game one of the Western Conference second round, and then we had the Montreal Canadiens win
Yes.
Game 7 yesterday. So shout out to Canada for finally having some playoff
They
success.
carried the weight of
Loans.
an entire country.
Yeah.
The lone team left because Edmonton fell through in 6 to Anaheim.
That's the way it goes, and they won't go much further, I'm sure, as well, without knowing anything about the Canadiens this year.
Seems
But yeah,
like a safe bet.
people are getting into more and more hockey these days, and I'm excited. I'm excited to maybe just like if there's no NBA games on later at night, just like let's see what these. If anything, whoever those guys in the studio were, they're gonna get me coming back. As long as those guys keep
Yeah, I don't know
absolutely trashing
anyone, and I
whichever
wasn't-
team,
I wasn't paying attention to anyone's name, but it was entertaining.
tremendous.
For just having absolutely no care. I have a couple friends who really like both of these teams.
Mm.
And so I have a group text that's going to be obnoxious about a sport that I don't watch enough.
I'm technically an Avs guy.
But it'll get me into watching this series probably more than the other ones.
Yeah.
Because there seems to be sort of a dislike here with the Wild and the Avs. I don't know that it's anywhere near the
Timberwolves and the
Timberwolves,
Nuggets.
but
Ooh,
I think it's there.
we should ask someone in Denver who hates each other more, the Wild and the.
I would bet that it's the Nuggets Wolves. At least that's the more visible.
Oh, hockey hate's pretty good though.
Hockey hate is pretty good.
Hockey hate usually burns a little stronger than basketball hate, to be honest with you.
The group text is going to be burning pretty strong.
I bet. So it's Monday. Welcome back from the weekend, ladies and gentlemen. We have so many things to discuss today. Tim Verghese and Michael Brunts will join us. That is our lineup. We are greeted with a text this morning from the 515. Well, I've been saying when Nebraska starts playing incredibly mediocre teams again, there's bound to be sweeps. Face, meet, bleeping palm. I think he was talking about probably the other way. The Nebraska starts sweeping everybody else.
Well, yeah, I don't know. That performance was
Not very good.
less than stellar. I watched the Friday. I did not get to see the rest of it.
Troy Dannon, problem solved.
Yeah.
Problem solved. Now hosting a region. We don't have to worry about hosting a regional now.
I definitely had some texts from someone that might be joining our show at 9:15 that were of the variety
Oh
of,
boy.
I wonder if they tempted the baseball gods a little bit here, and this all now flies in the face and
It was
all of that.
once
So,
again the first segment on a Monday. It's all about taking the low-hanging fruit joke, and that's what I'm doing. I'm 2 for 2 right now. May the fourth be with you. And Troy Dannon, after telling the baseball season ticket holders that you're basically screwed, that they're just not going to host a regional altogether.
yeah,
Problem solved.
It,
Get ready to travel south.
I'll be curious where the percentage lies when we talk to Brunts here today.
I will.
about hosting a
I would
regional.
think that it will have dipped a bit. Here is Wes. As a hockey fan, 15 goals is way too many. Ugly hockey was played. Is it possible to get a 15-goal game and where it's not like a disaster? Like, just
I guess if you have the purest sort of snipe shooting kind of thing,
bad goalkeeping, and that's it.
Yeah, I guess
it's just purely isolated.
The way that they got to 15 goals, though. I mean, you had there was some redirects in there. You had the really bad passing and defense. There was just a lot happening to get to 15 goals.
So elsewhere over the weekend, was Matt Rule at the Kentucky Derby? People love talking about where Matt Rule was. I saw him on Instagram wearing a hat.
Oh, no.
But where was he actually at the Kentucky Derby?
I was wearing a hat. I was not at the Kentucky Derby.
You wore a hat even though you weren't even there?
Yeah.
Did you drink a mint julep, a terrible drink?
No. I forgot what I had. I had a few different mixed drinks.
I got a big old pile of barbecue and made several beverages for myself and family members.
Look at that.
On Saturday.
Yeah, I was at a derby party.
House.
It was a good time. It's always a good time. It's like a yearly thing now, which it's nice. You were talking about this, that one sporting event that exists for, just a one day a year. I always know on Derby Saturday that I have somewhere to go that will feed and provide me the opportunity to purchase alcohol.
You know where you're going to be.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I wear a dumb hat, and that's basically the price I pay.
I would like to talk about the Derby in a little while. It seems to be gaining popularity. We just had the 152nd run for the Roses. See, I don't know what's going on. The kids absolutely love horse racing, and it's probably their sports gambling brains that
the kids do.
The kids love it. It was the most watched Derby ever.
Kids loved anything.
The kids love the Kentucky Derby.
Do we know it was the kids, or was it just more people were watching it now?
Well, I'm guessing.
Okay.
I'm guessing.
We gotta wait until they break down the focus group age.
Fact, more people watched. Connor fact, it seems like the kids are into it.
I just had it on in the background leading up to the disaster night.
Joey, I don't even know if you count as a kid anymore.
Yeah.
You might be too old.
You're out of the group. You're in the 24 to Matt, but doesn't count anymore.
I'm never usually into
graduating from kids. Yeah.
He's in the 24 to whatever it is.
Yeah. He's in our demographic now. We're working for you, Matt. So we have that during the show. We have the disaster of the Boston Celtics. We have Nebraska baseball. We have Creighton baseball from over the weekend, who also did not win enough games, but did manage to win one. We have Ahmad Hudson. Uh-oh.
What a disaster.
Oh, no. Another example of Croots using Nebraska for clicks.
Could be.
We will discuss.
I love that this is a weekend that works perfectly with our 2 Monday guests. So shout out to us for how we've booked our show. It really works out well.
It really does.
Come on every week on a Monday because there's been news of their respective things.
It's great.
It's
settled in perfectly.
Times nicely.
Nebraska rating as a top. We're talking about football here. Nebraska rating as a top 15 in something.
Yeah.
What is it? What could it be? Also, Super Mega Conference money figures came out from it was sort of like a late news dump on Friday. It's a lot of money. That just to give you guys a fair warning on that one. All right, we want to hear from you all today. 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Feel free to call or text that number. Feel free to tweet at HappenSchafe, at Connor Happer, at Mike J. Schaefer, the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor, Mike, Joey at 1620zone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we say good morning to our YouTube streamers today. Hello, YouTube streamers. Good to see you all. A text from the 402. Connor, Gus Johnson is a big Derby fan. I jokingly said, why isn't Gus? Did I say this on the show or did I say this just to people I was around? Either way, Gus doing the Derby would just be hilarious. Yeah. I mean, there would be no sense of what was going. No, I said it because there was some dissension in the room about Tirico. I was waxing poetic about Tirico again. I was like, wow, Tirico absolutely rocks. And then, some other people in the room were like, I don't know. I'm not so sure about Tirico. And I'm like, what? You're crazy. Better than your guy, Gus Johnson. And I don't know if their guy is Gus Johnson, But
you just assume that everybody has to have a guy, and it's either Tirico or Gus Johnson.
And then I imagined Gus Johnson doing the Derby, and I got mildly intrigued, actually.
Just given how tough
I think
it
he
is.
could do the Derby.
Just given how tough it is, there was a video of the play-by-play guy, Larry Colmus, calling the race. He's got his binoculars, and then when they're on the other side of the track, he doesn't have them on. He kind of shared how he preps for these type of races. He uses flashcards, and he's done like months in advance getting prepared for moments like this.
That guy was unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And Tirico just gets to hand it off to him every year, and then 10 seconds after the race ends, it's Tirico's again.
Yeah,
which is it's a pretty sweet deal. No, that guy is really, really impressive. Also, we get a tweet this morning from Sam, who is ready to tweet at us all of the latest lacrosse news.
Oh, that's good. I appreciate this
for our hashtag relax segment that we're definitely doing. The lacrosse championship bracket is out. In fact, I believe I got some email correspondence from the Big Ten yesterday about lacrosse. There was a lacrosse champion that was that something happened, but I don't know what it is. But I'm looking at the Division I men's lacrosse championship right now, and I'm looking at Stony Brook as the 5 national seed, and I'm thinking, whoa, how did that happen? Because they play lacrosse up in New York, baby. They play lacrosse on Long Island, that's for sure.
Yeah,
my cousins tried to convince
coastal thing, right?
My cousins tried to convince me that like lacrosse on Long Island is like as big as football is here, and I said, you are insane. That's not true. That cannot be true. But they were like, no, that's basically what it is. It's our football. I mean, like, what happens to football for you guys? Football doesn't exist. Impossible.
Football used to be big for them over there back in the old days, and now they got new sports to rely on.
Back in the olden times,
yeah, they started football over there.
A lot of high school football on Saturday afternoons in front of no people.
Yeah,
these are. I mean, so it's.
I don't know.
It's 100% played up there because they definitely have occasional.
What do they do on Friday nights? Lacrosse?
I don't know. That's what fascinates me. I wonder this all the time because for some of the Northeast visitors, if they don't play on a Friday, like visiting during the season is relatively difficult because you have a 1:00 game.
They literally play on Saturday.
Yeah, and so,
odd.
Again, you're playing on Saturday in front of the same sort of crowd that like they, maybe even less than like a youth soccer game would draw on a Saturday in the Midwest. So it's a weird.
The schools are all weird too.
Yeah.
The schools they need to come up with some creatively named schools.
I think we could come up with some.
Well,
names.
A lot of them go by like numbers.
PS 171 doesn't do it for you.
Yeah, some of them go by like numbers. Not the ones on Long Island, but like in the city.
I know what you mean though.
Yeah. All right, so there you go. We've hit every single topic in the first 17 minutes of this show, and we welcome you to a Monday show. Our man of the weekend coming up at the end of the hour. I'm excited to share with you all my man of the weekend, and we will have plenty. A start of a brand new week, ladies and gentlemen. Be excited. Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. All right, Monday here on Happer Schaefer, 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Stay tuned throughout the remainder of the week. Starting today, we will have your chance to win 4 packs of tickets to next Tuesday's grand finale between Nebraska and Creighton baseball. Do you think that with the help of us, Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone, we could make it like the olden times, like the third game at Rosenblatt when they would draw like 20,000 people at that game? Do you think that we could do it? Maybe some of it depends on how each of the teams perform this weekend and the excitement level. Obviously, 75% of it depends on the weather. But maybe, just maybe, if you listen to Happer and Schaefer, we can make it like the olden times.
Can sure try.
It's going to be nice next Tuesday.
Is it?
Yes, up to 74 degrees next Tuesday.
We'll see. Maybe it'll be 54 degrees.
It's going to be sunny. Nice and sunny.
Although we were lucky enough to have a pretty decent weather weekend this past weekend.
Yeah, it was kind of nice for once on the weekend.
You know, I'm mildly disappointed that we couldn't stretch it one more day to get a nice day of baseball tomorrow at the Chuck Box.
No, you get 57.
We get 59 and poop. This weekend looks halfway decent, though, so we'll take it. Anyway, listen to Happer and Schaefer, and we can make it like the olden times at Rosenblatt. We can't bring back Rosenblatt, but we can bring back the spirit of Rosenblatt Stadium when they would pack it.
Just paint the seats.
Maybe we could get the seats painted.
Okay.
Might as well.
Although
nice and yellow.
No guarantees. The Kentucky Derby happened over the weekend. I have no breakdowns for you on Golden Tempo winning the Kentucky Derby. However, I will say this: the drone shot of Golden Tempo coming literally all the way from the back of the field to weaving through everybody, passing everybody on the outside, getting through some carnage, and then winning was among the coolest camera shots I've ever seen. Nice job, drone.
It was awesome.
My man of the weekend could be drone.
I mean, I think it'd be a justified use of it, given how awesome that shot was. That race in general, I mean, it's great that there was as big of an audience as there was for it, because it was legitimately a fascinating, what is it, 2.5, 3 minutes?
Yeah, it's 2 minutes.
And, it was dramatic as hell for horse racing, because you had all of these sort of horses bunched up in the middle. You had a few that were kind of jockeying back and forth. And then, you can kind of notice on there, like, okay, some of the favorites are starting to make their move. And then, as you mentioned, the horse starts from the back.
The horse!
And travels all the way to the front, like a near photo finish. Wasn't quite a photo finish, but you had probably 5 horses, like bang, 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 all in a row. And, of course, there's a gambling implications. There's just I don't know how it is for other people. Maybe you only truly care about the gambling implications of it.
I'm curious about it. We'll talk about it in a second.
For me, some of it is just a fascination of watching this entire thing unfold, and the way that those horses, again, there's no space of which they have to move. So I love when they give you that full view shot, and you get to watch how this horse carves out from the back, gets to the front, moves around everybody, the skill of which it takes to have that burst and to time that just perfectly.
It's funny because, I think the race is what it all comes down to, but it's only 2 minutes out of the several hours of coverage. For me, it's about the sort of event and the spectacle of it all. You get to see you see 150,000 people there. You see all the celebrities getting absolutely bleep face hammered in Louisville. So
you watch all the coverage. I basically come into it at the race.
Yeah, no, see, I like the whimsy. I like
that's fun.
I like seeing the John Fanta appearance, talking with all the people.
Fanta was magic, of course, as he was always going to be.
Were they covered? Were they everywhere?
I didn't see
I saw no Kelce's.
Wow.
Why would there be any Kelce's?
Well, because there's an event. There needs to be Jason Kelce, right?
I saw
lots of Jackson Dart.
So there's less likelihood of it?
Definitely, there was a lot of Jackson. There was some Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart stopped by the cool photo booth. And no, I did not see any sighting of any Kelce's.
That's shocking.
I saw Taylor Swift is doing a countdown of some sort. Maybe they had to be around for that.
What is she counting down?
I don't know. Nobody ever knows.
Does she have a new money grab of an album?
Yes.
To try to get?
Yeah.
Well, that would make sense.
Yeah.
A release?
I'm almost
The
positive.
same song,
yes.
but remixed for the third time.
Yeah, you're being facetious here, but yes, I think that's actually what it is.
Yeah, well, why wouldn't it be?
That'd be my guess.
Anytime you can bilk your fans for more money.
So on Sunday, NBC announced that it had some of the preliminary data as far as TV ratings. Are we TV ratings guys? Who knows? We haven't really decided that about ourselves yet, but 19.6 million viewers turned in for just the race portion of the 152nd Kentucky Derby, which would make it the most watched Derby on record, up 12% from last year. And that was 17.7 million viewers. And that was the most watched Kentucky Derby since 1989. And so I don't know what it is about this, but my observation is that it seems to be gaining popularity, the Kentucky Derby. I mean, obviously there are more people available in the world to watch it, and people have access to it. I think there's probably an element to this where you just, it's on and you set your watch to it. Like I said on Friday, I do wonder about the kids. The low-hanging fruit here is sports gambling brain. Kids are poisoned with sports gambling brain. They can't get away from it. They're always talking about sports gambling. That's just the way, for whatever reason, they have grown up in a world where enter sportsbook name here is very, very prevalent in their lives. And they've also grown up in a world where there's all these weirdos with cameras who like to talk about how they want to do sports bets and 6-leg lays for the weekend, things like that. So this is like their language, right? And then this is kind of the gambling epicenter of the year, with the exception of possibly the Super Bowl, I suppose. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I'm theorizing here, but this thing seems to be gaining popularity in its 152nd run, and I'm trying to figure out why.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it is the gambling aspect of it, but then I also think there's an element that has now become, like for me, like I have a literal watch party that I go to, in the way that it's kind of like the Super Bowl. It's an event that you can build a day around. It's really small in terms of time investment. Like,
absolutely,
again,
good one.
You
Perfect.
can go to a party and just enjoy the party, and then for 3 minutes, everybody watches what happens in this event, and then you go back to sort of enjoying the party.
Absolutely.
And so I think
that's a huge
like
part of it,
right? So you don't, unlike the Super Bowl, where if you
kids also love lack of commitment.
Sure. It's it's like a really long TikTok, right? Like that's what a horse race is.
I think it's just a regular TikTok. I
don't know how long TikToks
can be movies now.
Really?
Yeah, TikToks.
I thought their thing was they were short.
I've seen like a 17-minute TikTok.
I thought when people called it the TikTok generation, it had to do if everything was quick and
fast.
mean,
they are short,
okay,
on average, but they can be very long too.
All right. Well, so I guess that reference doesn't work anymore.
I get it.
The general concept is like the investment in time is pretty low, but you can do it in a really social way. Unlike almost any other sporting event where you're going to have to invest a lot more time for it. So that in itself is really nice. Like, it's nice that it can be the Kentucky Derby day. And really, if you weren't going to go do anything or had any reason to socialize, you still just throw the TV on at like 5:30, catch 30 minutes of coverage and the race, and then be done with it.
People love a theme.
Yeah. Oh, I think
people love a theme.
I think the dress up element of it.
Yes.
I think like there's a.
What is it about our generation and then everyone younger that everyone loves to put on weird clothes?
Maybe because it feels like a callback to when that was the normal thing to do. Like people would wear a suit to a baseball game in the 1930s, and that was very common.
Yeah, but
actually, they did it through the 50s. Like, leisure wear didn't really start until the 60s or whatever.
But why do we care? Why would our generation care?
I don't know.
That?
I think people like dressing up for stuff sometimes. I really do. They like.
Oh, I do. Hey, I'm with them.
A one-time event. Like, this isn't like an every so often.
It is every first Saturday in May forever.
Right. And no one will pay attention when the Preakness comes around and then the Belmont. And
nope.
We'll be all waiting again for the Derby.
Oh, yeah. No, if there's one thing that's for certain, it's not because we love horse racing.
Right.
Like that.
That is the big. That's the
I think it's the spectacle of it. I mean, everybody's experience is different. Like Matt will come in here and be like, "Yeah, I love horse racing." I'm like, "Yeah, you're a little bit different, man." But the spectacle of it.
We're stopping with just horse racing.
The event, the the gambling aspect of it. I think they're all pretty prevalent here, and I don't know why. I don't know why people have sort of, maybe it's because people like pictures. This is a very Instagrammable, type of situation, whether you're there or you're at your party or whatever it might be. Yeah. So I think this is that exists too here.
And NBC does an awesome job with the presentation of this, which you've talked about. We talked about it on Friday. Like, this is kind of a Super Bowl-esque event for them. And they're on the cutting edge here. Hours of coverage for a 3-minute race.
Yeah.
And they do pretty well with it. Like, I mean, again, the bulk of which are going to show up in the 5 o'clock hour.
Well, then we had the drama. We had the drama right before the race started of the horse freaking flying away.
Everyone checking to make sure that it wasn't one that they bet on.
That was crazy. I didn't even bet it, and I'm glued to it every single year. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, it's really good stuff. And then part of the spectacle is seeing your favorite celebrities there. Maybe it's a Kelsey, maybe it's a Swift, maybe it's anyone that Jackson Dart.
They showed a bunch of celebrities, and I was counting how many I could recognize, and it was not a very high number. It was a very low single digit. Every time they showed all the photo ops they were doing.
We're old. This is part of getting old. You don't know who celebrities are involved. No, he was at the Savannah Bananas game.
Okay,
he was striking out against the.
Yeah, it was at Texas A&M.
He's going to be doing an event in Lincoln right around the Savannah Bananas game.
Not surprising.
Yeah,
that guy's everywhere. They call him the greatest athlete of all time.
Well, he's a Texas A&M guy. That's why he was down at Kyle Field as well.
Striking out against the Savannah Bananas, or as a member of the Savannah Bananas. But, whoever you might like to see here, we have to get our investigative glasses out. This may lead to the first ever Happer and Schaefer investigative report.
Oh.
Was Matt Rule at the Kentucky Derby? The internet is telling me, yes, I saw an Instagram that he shared from his wife's business. They were just wearing Kentucky Derby attire and taking a picture. I don't know if he was there or not. Do I care? Absolutely not. But if we're gonna slander Matt Rule for not doing his job and always being somewhere else, at least make sure that he is somewhere else first. Which, by the way, I don't care. There is Matt. If you're watching along with us on YouTube, I don't think he's at Churchill Downs. I think he's just at the Dry Bar. I think he's just hanging out.
I think he's just in front of a Instagram wall.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. Everybody's got an Instagram wall.
Yeah. I don't see anything that would indicate that he's outside at Churchill Downs.
No. See, but then this takes off because one person's like, Matt Rule is at Kentucky. Matt Rule's at Churchill Downs. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm not actually sure that he is at Churchill Downs. But anyway, he'd got that cool hat though.
Yes,
I do like that hat.
It's a good hat.
Good hat by him.
It's a good hat.
That Danny Busboom Kelly was at the Kentucky Derby. Why don't you make fun of her?
Which makes a ton of sense given that she lived in Louisville for a large amount of time.
It would make sense for literally any person to be at the Kentucky Derby.
No, I agree. I don't care where Matt Rule goes. After last week, I'm probably good on Matt Rule conversations for a bit.
Oh, we have some Matt Rule conversations.
Yeah, we had some last week, and they were everywhere. And naturally,
which one was your favorite?
Which was my favorite Matt Rule conversation from last week?
I think this one's pretty high up there for me because it's just riddled in inaccuracies.
Well, a lot of them seem to be. I enjoyed on the afternoon show. I was listening on Friday, and they were going through which of the last handful of coaches has had the most toxic regime.
Oh, good one. Good topic.
That's good.
It was just kind of great, like listening to them go through all of the things that would have been toxic at the time of which. And it's just a great reminder of Nebraska football is a true one of one. There aren't going to be programs. Maybe Tennessee can reach the level of Nebraska where it's like, well, this idiotic thing happened. And that coach was involved in multiple instances of someone recording them in a meeting. And,
that's a good parallel.
That coach was brought in for 3 years and nobody wanted him here except the AD who was forced out when he talked about Black Friday needing to move. And
oh, man, what a time. Yeah. I can't believe he said that. That was great.
Oh, that press conference got done, and you could tell no one in the room thought that guy had a chance.
Did he just cancel Black Friday? I will never forget. I think it was 2 days before the Northern Illinois game. It was supposed to be a Riley was supposed to talk on a Thursday before the game. And of course, pops out of nowhere, and he's like, "I'm here, everybody. I'm here to say some things about the Black Friday game."
That's what it was. I was there, and it's legitimately like, "What the hell are we doing?"
And then the best Sean Eichhorst out of nowhere moment came 2 days later after they lost to Northern Illinois, and he got off the elevator and walked into the scrum of the media, and I was standing right there next to Lee Barfnick, who asked him the first question, which was, "Why are you here?" And then he got fired instantly. After that,
no, we're waiting for Sutton Smith, who abused Nebraska for 14 sacks. That day.
He had wasn't he the pick six guy, or was he?
I think he was a sack guy.
Well, Tanner Lee threw 3 pick sixes or 2 pick sixes in that game, and 3 picks, I think, overall. Anyway, what a great moment in time. We could check out the Husker Max page on that one as we go on throughout the show. So there you go. We will help you decide which Matt Rule conversation is the funniest as we go on throughout the remainder of the week today. When we come back, though, it's time for our man of the weekend. Up next on 1620 The Zone.
On a weekend that was so sad for Joey, I'm curious as to where he goes with his man of the weekend. Is it going to be some sort of snide remark about something? I don't know.
No, I'll save that for whenever you dedicate a time for
we'll
that
give you. We'll clear
game.
out. We'll give you an ISO play on the Celtics. That's cool. We can do that. You have a man of the weekend?
Yeah, I had a couple of them. One of them, I'm going to share both of them. First one's Detroit Pistons. They finally advanced into the conference semifinals, first time in almost 20 years.
It is cool. When
Coming
Tirico
back down
said that
3-1.
last night, he was like, they're going to the conference semifinals to meet the Pistons. I was like, wait, oh yeah, I guess they are. The Pistons are still here.
They've been historically bad in this
really
the century. Yeah. So the other man of the weekend, I'm going to give it to myself. I finished the NFL schedule prediction book, and it's going to be released on my Twitter at 9 a.m.
All right.
I am happy. I don't know if you saw my social media graphic. It has a little quote. I made it look like a book review from John Bishop. It says, I don't remember what it says. It's up there. It's up there.
I got to see this. This is good. I'm excited for you. It seemed like a weight has been lifted off of your shoulder. Yes, I see it. It's a labor of love. Some might call it a cry for help.
So that was when you and John were calling a Creighton baseball game last year, and I happened to be producing that. And John was like, "Who the heck is producing the game?" And you said, "Oh, it's Joey. Oh, he's doing these games because he wants to work on his NFL schedule prediction."
That's
and John made that comment.
I remember that.
Sometime last year.
I can believe all of that. They released the schedule, what, a little less than 2 weeks here?
Should be, but I'm hearing rumors it might be delayed for another week.
Oh,
the
wow.
week of May 18th. So hopefully that's not the case.
Okay.
Nobody wants that.
Who wants it?
I'll go next. I'm gonna go a little off the wall here. Happer, have you thought much about Munetaka Murakami?
Not much.
Familiar here?
I am familiar.
He hit his Major League Baseball leading 13th home run on Friday night. This is a man. I know you like Baseball Savant.
Oh,
this is
are
a
you
man
diving into the Savant of the week?
Who is giving me some real Adam Dunn vibes. If you remember vintage Adam Dunn, large man that hit large home runs. Murakami, I will get this right, has a hard hit rate that is the 100th percentile, a barrel rate that is 99th percentile. These are things basically every time he is hitting the ball.
Right. So when he is making contact,
smashing baseball.
Important to
like
note.
His average exit velocity is 95.1, which is really, really high. He also strikes out 33% of the time and walks nearly 20% of the time. He is the closest reincarnate to Adam Dunn that I can sort of think of.
So he's
other
like
than Joey Gallo, I guess, but Joey Gallo went the bad way with it. This is this guy, and I don't know how well it's going to go for him because he's going through his first run with the majors with the White Sox. But this guy is actually very enjoyable to sort of just watch him hit these tanks of home runs. And nobody wanted to sign him this offseason. Took a very modest deal with the White Sox, and now they're like playing respectable baseball these days.
So what you're saying is a big BABIP guy.
Well, I mean, kind of. He just hits the balls aren't in play a lot if he's hitting them over the fence. So he's only hitting, he's the sort of guy that the classic baseball fan would hate because his batting average is never going to be that good. But in the current environment, he's either always on base, always striking out, or hitting home runs.
All right. Well, congratulations, Munetaka Murakami.
Munetaka Murakami.
That's your guy. A White Sox, huh?
A White Sox.
Unbelievable. The first and only ever White Sox.
I can't imagine other White Sox ever getting nominated for Man of the Week.
No.
So we're taking our opportunity to do it for
There was probably a time in where someone would have put Tim Anderson on there just to make me angry. But that time has passed. My man of the weekend, speaking of baseball. So I have a little bit of a dispute here. I'm trying to figure it out at the last second. Tough call. Is it the man who cussed on television, the man who immediately apologized for cussing on television, or is it the television network who absolutely did not apologize for the cussing that took place on the television? Here is what unfolded after the Royals win on Saturday night against the Seattle Mariners, featuring closer Lucas Ursag.
Joel. Well, I didn't share this with you guys, but this afternoon when I talked to Lucas, he said, let's go get another one tonight. It's never that easy, but it all played out that way. How did this one compare and feel to last night? Because I know you were dominant both nights.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to make sure that I'm preparing myself every day to just be ready and be available. So another night like tonight, it's a tight ball game against a really good team. Sorry if I'm stuttering. My adrenaline is through the freaking roof right now, and I love this shit.
Whoops, sorry, pardon me. Sorry about that, guys. All right.
Woo! No, it's good to get a series win. We're going for the sweep tomorrow, and we're gonna have a good one.
There you go. So that's Lucas Urseg. So he might be my man of the weekend. It could be Joe Goldberg, or it could be the Royals.tv account.
Okay.
Which after the game sent out this press release that looks like this. If you're watching along with us on YouTube, we're aware of the use of colorful language at the end of last night's broadcast. We wanted to take this opportunity to assure fans. He kind of said it best. No notes.
I appreciate that. It was authentic, and that's what you want.
Very honest.
That's legitimately what you want.
I agree.
No one was harmed. Worse things have happened on Royals television, namely the Royals games being televised. And when it doesn't go well, what I'm getting at, they have a really bad performance. Not that their games are televised. Not that I will be able to watch any of the upcoming series between our respective teams.
You better get some Royals TV, baby.
I will not be getting.
HUD was back
TV.
over the weekend, and he was cooking.
Okay, Royals were cooking. They swept the Mariners.
They sure did. People forget that.
Horse dibs.
Sets up should be a fun series here at the K.
Well,
where one of our YouTube streamers will be at.
When everyone finishes exactly 500 in the AL Central at the end of the year, all of these games will be deemed to be important. All 5 teams in the American League Central are going to be going 81-81 this year, and they will all be painfully average, terrible in a variety of different ways, good in some ways, and then they'll all just end up tied. What happens at the end of the year is a tiebreaker, and that's exactly it will be decided over the next 6 games for the Royals when they play Cleveland and the Tigers.
I enjoyed Cleveland won the first 2 games on Friday and Saturday against the A's, and it's like they have their best. The guy who's pitching the best for him on the mound on Sunday, and it's like you just knew there was no way they were winning Sunday's game. 7-1 loss. It's like, all right, this guy's been great all year, so why wouldn't he go shove against the Sac A's? No.
You know your baseball team as well as anybody. I can't believe you didn't believe me and Jake when we told you they were going to get swept at Yankee Stadium. You're like, no, I think they'll find a way to win one.
I thought
Schaefer,
that I
you don't get
him.
it. You know your team better than anyone.
Yeah, I get it.
You know your team better than anybody. So yeah, I guess that could be put in the lexicon of bad things that have appeared on Royals TV.
No, that was good. Good performance from Urseg there.
Oh, that one's fine. The one where they got swept against the
Yankees. Oh, well, yeah. Just make a montage of it.
Look at that. Yeah, Mike says he's going to the K tonight. I've been to a Guardians-Royals game.
Think it's is it Gavin Williams tonight?
I don't know the starting probables. I do not know the starting probables.
I will look it up
for tonight. I threw out the first pitch at a Cleveland Indians, Kansas City Royals game.
Nope, you're getting Bybee, so I feel like the Royals have a great chance of winning.
Who are the Royals countering with?
Michael Wacha. So Cleveland surely won't hit him, just like last time, where they surely did not hit him.
You're about to learn changeups.
Yeah.
Because he got a bunch of those. All right, that's our man of the weekend. We will come back, 7 o'clock hour. Plenty to get to. Glad you're with us on a Monday on 1620 The Zone. I saw it late last night. Of course, I didn't see it till this morning because #morningboys. But the Nebraska softball team arrived back at the exposed wire-ridden Epley Airfield and were received by Husker fans who knew that they were coming in, or probably friends and family or whatever as well. Hopped off the jet, got that Big Ten trophy, and said, "What up?" and then went back to Lincoln. Had an hour. That's got to be a very sobering drive, right? You know, it's happy. I'm sure they're excited, but it's Sunday night. It's late. It's finals week. You get all excited because there's, a couple hundred people there waiting for you when you get off the plane. You're like, all right, everybody on the bus. I've got an hour drive. That sucks.
And then it takes you about 40 minutes to get to Gretna for some reason. And then it's another 30 from there. There you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually
there's not even a Buc-ee's to stop at.
Nope. Maybe one day there will be, although I have my doubts.
Probably in 5 years. We'll see.
Maybe.
Yeah, I started to. We've talked about this. I think I've just decided the Buc-ee's is going to be something we talk about that never actually happened.
Yeah, it feels like it's heading that direction.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be like at this point, if they pulled the rug out, I wouldn't even be that surprised anymore. It'd be like, I was never really counting on it in the first place.
I got excited, and then I remembered good things just won't happen.
It's almost like the long lost Giordano's. They could just go in the graveyard with that.
Maybe Josh Otson could run for mayor in Gretna and guarantee a Buc-ee's over there when he wins.
That's true. He'd actually have to put his money where his mouth is. I think Josh really likes, just sitting here and commenting off to the side. But, maybe we could actually put him in charge of something and that'll happen.
Should Josh be in charge of something?
Yeah. I mean, he's in charge of this.
Well, beyond just, the scope of our sports station.
Yeah, I think we should give him some.
He needs more things to be in charge of.
Yeah, because when you get good at something, everyone knows that what happens is you just get more stuff put on your plate to the point where you're stretched so thin that you can't be good at those things anymore, and then people start to wonder about you.
Yeah. So can Josh fix this? Is basically what we're asking.
It's a great question. It's really up to him at this point.
Feels that way.
Ball's in your court, Josh. So congratulations to Nebraska softball Big Ten softball champions. They are a freight train rolling downhill toward the postseason, where they will assuredly host a regional, and then if they win that, assuredly host a super regional at Bowlin Stadium. But their counterparts across from the sidewalk, not so much. Unless maybe. They were swept, Nebraska baseball was, this weekend against Ohio State. A very, a truly surprising result. You're not surprised when any team loses any one baseball game, but to have a complete no-show over the weekend, especially offensively with this team, it was pretty shocking.
I think it's also the way of which it was just like their offense. Scored very few runs.
5.
The bats were quiet throughout. Friday night, you run into a Friday starter. He has his good stuff going. You're tapping a bunch of balls back to the mound. That's kind of what it was. They just weren't getting good contact. That continued throughout the weekend, and that hadn't happened pretty much all year. I mean, they hadn't lost 3 games in a row, I believe, to this point.
No, I think you're right. Yeah.
So, definitely a surprising result. Had they gone 1-2 or 2-1, baseball, whatever. Losing all 3 and the way of which it happened, because again, I would think
they were just smashed on Sunday.
They're solid on everything, and you think their hitting is a thing that's kind of always going to be there, and it just wasn't this weekend. And that happens too. I don't know that we're full on panic meter here about Nebraska baseball.
Oh, I'm certainly not. No.
But it just goes to show you, you could be riding high and just have a rough series. It's going to be how they respond to it. How do they bounce back? And what do we see from there? You have Iowa this weekend, and you got to go win those games. If you're going to host a regional now, you've got to win a bunch of baseball games.
I'm glad that we can have the re-entry of the conversation. Can Nebraska host a regional? Because then it turned into will Nebraska host a regional? And then it turned into, so they're going to host a regional. So, get prepared for it. And then you had the ticket thing, which was a great distraction from everything. And then they go out and lose. And now we're back to, will they or can they host a regional back again, which I'm a bit dubious about, but we will see. To your point, Schaefer, I don't really see much concern as far as the big picture is concerned. However, it's a little bit jarring. Like you said, I think their offense, the bats, is their most consistent and reliable trait. It's their, and not only that, I think it's their strongest trait. If you were to put a label on this team, it is offense, right? All teams come with one of three labels, I guess: offense, defense, pitching. Yeah, I guess you could throw speed and base running, but that usually comes along with defense.
Right.
I think Nebraska is as we've said all year, they are a really, really solid all-around team. But their strongest trait, their most outstanding trait, is their depth and their offense. And it just wasn't. It was just no-showed all weekend. And like we said, it certainly can happen. It's baseball, but it was a little bit jarring to see it over the weekend.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Friday night, I mean, right off the bat, you get sort of the late inning Husker stuff where it's the seventh inning. They had runners on a couple outs, deep ball to the wall. Don't score there. Eighth inning, I think they had somebody on, couldn't really ever get them over. And then the ninth inning, it starts off, and it's like, I think Mac Moyer got on in the eighth inning. Ninth inning starts off with a walk, and then you get a runner on second base. You end up getting a run in at that point. You've got runners on, and you get like a called third strike to end the game there with the tying run on third. And so it felt like, okay, Friday didn't quite go how they wanted, but they were putting pressure on them throughout. If they get decent enough pitching, they'll be fine the rest of the weekend. And it just never manifested. The bats just weren't quite there. So, we'll see if that carries over. I
see some people out there who are jumping off the ship. I'm like, you guys are crazy. Like we're talking about baseball here, man. Like, it's cool. You can lose baseball games.
This wild swing, and we saw it with basketball. You get it all the time in football. Like, an individual result does not tell the tale of what a season or a team is. Like, this is the other team has talent too. They're going to win some games. It's not always going to look pretty, and particularly in a sport where you can have an off weekend and it happens. And then what you do after is ultimately the only thing that matters here. Like, does it carry over into the Iowa series, or do they turn around and find a way to win some games?
Yeah. I mean, I guess, I mean, is this partially like our fault for having people believe that there's like a air of invincibility to this team? Like, I hope we weren't giving off that vibe. Once again,
considering neither of us had gone over 50% even up to last week about hosting a region, or I hadn't. I'm pretty sure you hadn't either.
No.
Mostly because I was dubious that the numbers would be there in the end. Not that I thought that there was this series lurking around the corner.
I think they're, I mean, as
a good baseball team. I don't think they're a great baseball team. Like, I've said that multiple times, and people kind of get annoyed by it, but like, that's, they have things that they're not particularly great at. But that doesn't mean that they can't win a bunch of games in a tournament setting or whatever it is. It doesn't mean they couldn't win a region.
No, I mean, like, if we want to look at it in the big picture, I mean, we don't often talk about it in the big picture. We talk about it in the context of comparing them to other Nebraska baseball teams,
well, the
or
annoying
recent Nebraska baseball
teams. Oh my God,
teams.
they have to host a regional or the whole season's a waste.
I mean, we could talk about it in the big picture. In the big picture, they lack a high ceiling. They don't compared to everyone else. We're talking about the best teams in the country now. Their frontline pitching is not nearly as good. Their offense is not nearly as good. Their defense is probably as good. That'd be my guess. And so when you play these kind of team, when you play those teams down the stretch, or like in a regional or in a super or in the World Series or whatever it might be, like, you'll see those things exposed. We're talking about Nebraska in comparison to other Nebraska baseball teams.
Right.
This is the best one there's been in 5 years. There's absolutely no doubt about it. If we're talking about Nebraska baseball compared to the rest of the Big Ten, we've said the same thing. We've been pretty consistent all year long. They're not nearly as good as UCLA, but they're just as good as USC and Oregon.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where they sit right now in the standings with 6 games
they're
to play.
very likely a top 20 team, but closer to the 20 than they are to the 10. Like, I just think like that's the reality of what they are more than anything else.
It's a perfectly fine place to be.
Absolutely. This is where you want your program to be. Like, I mean, ideally they're better than this, and you're building towards, you can have an even higher, ceiling and everything else. But for what it is, I mean, it's still been a terrific season. They still have a chance to make it a terrific season. none of that went by the wayside with a rough weekend in Columbus.
Terry is wondering on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. He emails in, "Hi guys, past performance is never an indication of future results, but the calendar did change on Friday. Is this the start of their typical May swoon?" So I've heard people say this over the weekend, and I understand that like the last 2 weeks of the regular season haven't always been kind to Nebraska over the last couple of years. With that being said, they have won 2 consecutive Big Ten tournaments. They have won 2 consecutive Big Ten tournaments and, had the deep run in May 5 years ago as well. It's not like they just like fall off the map at the end of the season. I think if you're looking at the difference, like they haven't had as good of teams over the last couple of years that has led to them falling off the end when it matters at the end of the season, with the exception of the last 2 years. Obviously.
I feel like the May swoon was almost entirely they would play in the Big Ten baseball tournament and struggle in that, which we now have the reverse of it, where they come in and they're not nearly as thought of. Like last year, they weren't that highly regarded of a baseball team. They weren't going to be an at-large.
Exactly. The tournament. They go on a run. They go and win the Big Ten tournament. It's the opposite of a May swoon.
2017, you show up and you've won the Big Ten conference and you go 0-2 and you're out of the tournament immediately. And then you turn around and
tough tarts.
I don't know where they were at that year for the regional, but they went 0-2 and were out of it immediately there too. So like that was more emblematic of it. I think in recent years, it's been a month where they performed well. I mean, they did in 2021. They did here in the last 2 years, winning the Big Ten tournament. I mean, so I don't know that I'm the May thing has been a thing.
I've heard people say that though.
No, I get it, but that's sort of like that was Nebraska basketball. February is the month where the wheels are coming off, and Nebraska football famously doesn't win games in November.
Now that's actually true.
Well, yeah, no, I'm saying like there's this element that the season looks like this, but now the real team has emerged, and the real team is actually the team that's terrible, etc.
Oh, okay, I got you.
It's a recurring theme.
Matthew writes in, "Our pitching is not good enough to win a regional, especially if our bats aren't saving us." Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough to win a regional. Like they don't now at the same time, they don't play regionals. Like they don't do best out of 100, they don't do best out of 30 and if you're the best team, then you don't get that many opportunities. Yeah. Sometimes you get wonky results in regionals. So I'm not going to say whether they're capable of advancing out of it. I mean, that feels like a way too black and white way to look at it. Also, Matthew says, "I knew talking about hosting a regional and all the ticket BS was way too soon." Way too soon. He's blaming the ticket fiasco.
The ticket BS. So in Nebraska in 2006, which famously lost to Manhattan and San Francisco,
people forget,
had a pitching staff that included Tony Watson, Java Chamberlain, Johnny Dorn, Brett Jensen, Zach Herr.
It is tough to your point, Schaefer. It is tough to go ahead and name some more guys.
Eric Bird, the reason I remember that name is he had like 24 appearances and didn't have a 1 in front for his ERA. It was 0.82.
Pretty good.
This winning a regional is hard. Like we don't need to diminish it to where it's like, oh, Nebraska can't do this easy thing. No, it's difficult.
It does underscore a difficult conversation that is it's hard to understand. Sometimes this doesn't make sense. But specifically in baseball and in basketball, it is really, really tough to square up the regular season with the postseason because the postseason can it's a random team generator. Now, the crazy thing that we just came off of with Nebraska basketball is that their regular season almost exactly reflected their postseason run. They were a top 15 team for the majority of the year and went to the Sweet 16. Mm-hmm. It worked out perfect, right? Like if they would have gone a game further, everybody would have been really happy about it. If they would have gone a game less further, people would have been pretty disappointed about it, probably at that point.
Happy because of the context of you got your first tournament win, but it felt like there was more to get there.
And so like it was a mirror, which I think is really rare. It doesn't happen that way. And most of the time at the end of the season, you're going to be looking back and saying, we left something out there on the table. That team should have gone farther. That team would have done that if that. or the opposite direction.
Mhm.
Whoa, we made a sweet run. That was amazing. I feel like that's that is way more than we could have bargained for to get that out of that team. I don't know which one, and then there's, I guess, a little space in the middle to play around there with as well. I don't know where this team is going to land, but oftentimes we have to really mentally square that up with ourselves at the end of the year. And yeah, there is a bit of a roller coaster when you get, before you get to that point.
Here's the other thing they're likely to take on in a regional where they're a high 2 seed. They're likely to take on a 1 seed that has flaws too, that they might be able to take advantage of. I mean, I agree with the idea that I don't believe that they have enough pitching, but few teams in baseball ever have enough pitching. I still think that offense can carry the day for them, though. I have to admit, I am genuinely surprised that Ohio State's pitching staff could have that much success across 3 days. But I'm more willing to just chalk it up to baseball. Now, if they have this again with Iowa, then it probably becomes
if they get Hellerballed this weekend.
I guess look at it this way.
It's time to panic if they get Hellerballed.
If you get swept, at least you got swept by Ohio State on the road versus swept at home by Iowa.
That's true. Then you would have had to really deal with that crap all week. That would have been a mess. Disaster. They fell to Nebraska did 18 in the RPI, since we are definitely doing a lot of RPI counting these days. So they dropped off quite significantly from over the weekend. I was thinking about the Big Ten standings a little bit more last night. By the way, UCLA has clinched the regular season in the Big Ten with 2 weekends remaining, which is absolutely incredible.
That is.
They are, after a 10-2 comeback yesterday against Michigan State, they are now 24-0 in the league. They have a decent chance to finish this thing undefeated. Their final 2 weekends are against Oregon and in Washington. Just 2 games against Oregon for some reason. I don't know, what did they sneak in?
I think they played a random game somewhere.
They snuck in an early non-con that ended up being con, whatever it might be. Anyway, they have won. Congratulations to them. USC they've played 3 more games than everybody, but there is still a USC Oregon series remaining, and so hang that in there somewhere. Oregon still has USC and UCLA for 2, as we mentioned in their final couple weekends of the regular season. Then Nebraska's sitting there at 17-7, so they're still pretty clearly up on the rest of the pack as far as the top 4 in the Big Ten tournament is made for those top 4 teams to advance and make deep runs. And now it's about sort of jockeying for position. So we'll see what happens. Nebraska still has a chance to get second in the league, but it has a bit of an uphill battle at this point. But like we've said for weeks now, they've been in pretty good position to be an NCAA tournament team for a while. It's just a matter of where it ends up. And if you could push that bar high enough to actually be able to host postseason here, which I suppose we should get an update. We'll ask Bruns a little bit later on. Will they host a regional percentage today?
Are we going with it right now?
Well, yeah.
You and I?
I would love to.
Yeah, I was a high of 45%. I will go down to 40%.
Oh, I'm going to 30. I'm going to 30. I'm going
to 20.
20. Joey is sinking him to the bottom of the ocean.
Wow.
I think you can't get swept
like the
at this
pirate
point.
ship sink to the bottom of the ocean.
I mean, USC is going to host, and they got swept.
That is true.
Teams get swept sometimes.
This happens.
But they got swept against a good Nebraska team. Nebraska got swept.
But Nebraska's not good because they got swept by Ohio State.
Oh, take that, Joey.
A mediocre Ohio State team.
Yeah,
but they're a mediocre Nebraska team because they got swept by a mediocre Ohio State.
At least USC didn't
transitive property.
They'll be a high 2.
They didn't welcome in Rutgers this weekend and lose any games. They just won them all. Good call by them.
That is a valuable thing to do.
Do not lose to Rutgers under any
I
circumstances.
saw someone point out the 2021 team had a series like this against Rutgers where they got swept right in the heyday of can this team be a host?
I didn't host a regional.
Yeah, and then
you remember, by the way, so it's a great example of how the postseason clouds everybody's vision, because that season was destined to be a screw up, even though they won the regular season, right? Yep. They did not win the postseason. They did not win the Big Ten tournament.
Nope.
But And so they got sent to what everybody viewed as a death sentence. They go to Arkansas, and they end up pushing them to game 7, like the 8th inning of game 7. You know, like that is a perfectly acceptable result for that team that year. And for really any team, any year, it's being on the doorstep of the Sweet 16 is what it basically is. And now nobody thinks about how everyone, you know, how they sentenced them to death 6 days sooner. And then everyone just thinks about the regional weekend.
They just wonder why they couldn't hit Kevin Kopp.
And what it was. Kevin Kopp's, they wonder why Kevin Kopp's arm didn't fall off because he threw 472 pitches over a 4 games.
Keith Law still wondering.
Keith Law, he's very, very curious. All right, we'll take a break. We have many things to come. We'll get an update on the baseball team in Omaha. Also, shout out to the other baseball team in Omaha as well, the Mavs, winning this weekend. And so they had a nice comeback win yesterday against Northern Colorado. We have plenty to come. We'll get some football talk at you back after this on 1620 The Zone. An important point from Nick here on Twitter, on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. Did Husker baseball get swept this weekend because of what they tried to pull on the season ticket holders? Hashtag baseball gods. Tempt fate, dare you, Troy Dannon.
Michael Brunts will have thoughts at 9:15 today.
Maybe. What about Mike Schaefer's thoughts right now?
My thoughts are that the baseball gods are always cruel, and this is just another example.
Oh, you think that just the cruelty
Is
was
the point?
not a response to other cruelty?
No,
It's
the
just
cruelty
a
was
cruelty
just
out of the
looming.
sake of cruelty.
It was just looming, and now it has shown itself and revealed itself that bad things can happen.
So you're going not a karma situation.
I'm going to say not a karma situation.
Okay. Yep. I think so too. Although it really does solve your problem. Troy Dannon, the problem solver.
The problem that didn't exist until you created it, that now is solved because of nothing you've done.
That's right. If you feel like you could, if there's a free layup out there for you to take, he probably knew that they were going to, he had some insider information. He probably knew they were getting swept this weekend. So he's like, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to fabricate a situation where I could create this easy, open 10-foot jumper for myself and just absolutely swish it, drain it. Because I need to see one go in right now. He doesn't really, because there's a lot of good stuff that's going on. But we're going to create a bit of a bleep storm for 10
need
seconds.
A distraction from the stadium and the troughs.
Exactly.
Here's how we're going to do it.
Yeah, I'm sick of people calling me Mr. Trough all the time. Okay. So I'm going to create a situation where I deny longtime baseball season ticket holders their opportunity to get regional tickets just for the baseball team to go out and get swept, and there not to be a regional at all.
And I'm going to donate a trough to Haymarket Park as a goodwill gesture.
Oh, dunk.
Yeah, there we go.
That's a dunk from Troy Dannon. All right, Schaefer, you got to put the Croot hat back on. You got to take your weird Kentucky Derby hat off and put your Croot hat back on. Ahmad Hudson. He was he still is a 5-star football recruit that Nebraska was in on all the way until the end. We love being in on recruits all the way until the end. And then the end happens, and then they do not commit to Nebraska. He committed to LSU over the weekend. Why? Is he using Nebraska for clicks?
I don't think that he's using Nebraska for clicks. I
Why
think
not?
That there's genuine interest in Nebraska. If there wasn't, I don't think there would have been as many visits early on.
Okay.
I think at the end, it felt like he was looking for someone to be opposite of where he was going to select, which was LSU, and Nebraska sort of fit that role. And then there's always stuff that I think there was genuine appreciation for Nebraska, but it was pretty easy to, I'm going to take a visit. Now this thing came up, so, and I'm not as close to it as Tim is. And Tim felt like there was, real.
He did. He was pretty consistent
there
on that the entire time.
And so that'll be an interesting conversation to have in about an hour. But yeah, I don't think this is like a for the clicks thing. I think it's a LSU has Lane Kiffin, and they are a program that's perennially going to be in the top 25 or have a chance to be in the college football playoff right now. And I just think that was too much to pass up for a guy that's an in-state player. You're asking a lot if you're Nebraska to pull a kid out of Louisiana against LSU when you can not really match any of the on-field firepower. I mean,
definitely.
I think it's kind of as simple as that. Now, at some point, the chicken and the egg thing here, like, do you have to win the games to be able to get players like this, or do you need players like this to win the games? It's a combination of both of them. This was going to be a difficult one when Lane Kiffin was hired.
I will say,
when it was Brian Kelly, I think they had a legitimately real chance to pull this away. And a lot of analysts felt like Nebraska did everything they possibly could to put themselves in position. It's just Lane Kiffin at LSU. It's a tough combination.
I will pose an argument to your not doing this for clicks argument. I'm scrolling back through the Twitter of Ahmad Hudson from around December this year, and everything that he was tweeting and retweeting was basically a reference to Nebraska. He retweeted several Nebraska burner accounts. He said that he was, loving it, corn emoji with his visit. I believe even at one point, although I couldn't find the exact tweet, it said he actually tweeted basically, could you imagine what it would be like if I committed to Nebraska right now? And everyone was like, whoa, what do you mean? Is this a possibility?
I think there was a period of time where it seemed like he was actually going to just commit in December and be done with it. And then it never happened.
Somebody made a edit of him as Santa Claus.
Wow.
And it was, and then paired along a Dylan Raiola poem to it.
Oh my God.
Not very jolly.
And he retweeted it. And then a lot of people saying, I know that Ahmad Hudson would look good and Husker red, #GBR. He tweeted out a Merry Christmas graphic from the Huskers.
Yeah.
He tweeted this himself and said #GBR. So I don't know what that's all about. That is a bit concerning to me. I don't really like that. But you know, it's Creighton after all.
It's Creighton after all, except none of it matters until someone signs, and so you see how it all goes.
Yeah.
I do wonder from an NIL standpoint if LSU could offer more, if the in-state factor of it could offer more. I don't think either team is going to go over the top on a high school player in the NIL era in terms of money. Like, it's at a position like tight end. Like, it's one thing if it's the big tackle that was from Nixa, Missouri, that ended up at Miami, got a ton of money, like the highest amount.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name. Jackson Cantwell. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
He was a big recruit. Nebraska was after him, yada, yada, yada. He ends up at Miami, and they paid a lot for him. I don't think Ahmad Hudson's getting anywhere near that money as a freshman tight end. Tight end's very valuable, not the same level as an offense.
Are you a zero sum gain guy if you don't get a recruit?
What do you mean?
So there is this conversation that always happens at the end of a commitment whenever they don't commit to the school that you're rooting for, which is like, oh well, you know, they were in another one, you know, another 5-star. They went down to toe with LSU, and they just go down at the last punch, like just didn't have enough to get over the top. And I always like roll my eyes at that conversation because ultimately, we're talking about a one guy deal here. You either get him or you don't. However, I do fully and completely understand that relationships matter in recruiting, and it could certainly end up mattering down the line. I'm not asking Nebraska to just, you know, back off and not get involved with these types of recruitments going forward. You know, so don't get it twisted on that one.
Right.
But I'm not over here celebrating that Nebraska got second here. I just don't think that's really, and it doesn't mean anything.
I mean, it doesn't. And, you know, you hear it a lot of like, well, you can set yourself up in case there's an next recruitment. Yeah, that's fine. But there's going to be other factors that go into it. And you may not need the player and whatever else. The biggest thing is sort of what you said in the middle there, which is I would much rather see Nebraska involved in these sort of recruitments over and over and over.
Keep shooting your shot, man. That's
than
cool.
Not involved at all. And it does suck. But here's the thing about recruiting that always somehow gets lost in this is that you really only get a small percentage of the players of which you're chasing after anyway.
That's true.
So you're going to miss out on a lot more recruitments and a lot more commitments over the course of a class than you're ever going to land. And so what you have to hope is that the ones that you land are good or can be developed into being good. And that leads to you being able to recruit at a higher level going forward. I mean, I think the more damaging thing here is Nebraska had huge aspirations for the 2027 recruiting class. And I think it's going to be a top 25 class, but that's largely what Nebraska is all the time. They haven't, you know, the hope was that if you break through with enough talent, you can overcome whatever deficiencies are preventing you from not having a higher ceiling. I just don't think that's going to happen for them.
I want to put a counter on this, Schaefer. I don't know how many times over the years I've said this, but this is, I don't know. We got to be in the couple dozen range at this point. It oftentimes feels like to me that Nebraska is just tapped out in terms of what it could actually do as far as the top end talent for how many games it's winning on the field right now.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately that's what 5-star recruitments are going to come down to. Like, even if you are down to, you have the best relationship that you could possibly imagine, you're offering X amount of dollars, which is equal or more to, you know, than anyone else is going to offer the kid. Like, ultimately, if they got their choice of where to go, they're going to want to go to the place where they get developed and win a whole bunch. And that's kind of the story. And so I oftentimes think that, and, so we'll talk to Tim in an hour here and we'll ask, where, because at one point, if they get this guy, they could end up being a top 5 or 10 recruiting class in the country.
That was a hope. I think at this point you were hoping if you get Ahmad Hudson, you might be somewhere around like 13th instead of more likely 23rd or whatever.
And now you're looking at the good old 23rd again. That's if you could get there.
That's 100% fair. I mean, one of the other things to remember in this is Nebraska's biggest selling points were twofold of he could play basketball, which is still one of those dubious things of how that would all work mechanically, and then Trey Taylor. And both of those things are tenuous enough that it's not like, it was never, he's so completely in love with Matt Rule, or they have this great offensive system to utilize him, or there's this other reason. It was he likes the quarterback that's committed to the class. Nebraska also nominally has a basketball scholarship available for him in a way that LSU really won't.
Yeah. Here you go. Take your basketball scholarship.
Yeah. You can have it.
So he's not going to play for Will Wade?
I would be surprised if he plays for Will Wade.
Okay. Well, we'll ask Tim a little bit later on. Sit Destroyer writes in this day and age, you're an idiot if you get excited about recruits and commitments.
You're an idiot.
Thank you. They can play anywhere at any given time until their first snap of their supposed season, until the supposed season in which they start. So why I'm not holding my breath even for Trey Taylor, even though it seems extremely likely he'll play than not. Yeah, no, there's another part of this where, like, we're still a year out from, or I guess a half a year out from this cycle signing and actually it meaning literally anything at this point. So people have always struggled with that piece of it, with the exception of when your class is really rocking. And Nebraska had a chance to get the class really rocking with this one, and they didn't, and so it's I don't blame people for feeling that way about guys. Yeah.
It's just what it is with recruiting.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about, I think you and I talked about Trey Taylor on Thursday or Friday and how he will have been, by the time he ends up on campus, he will have been in the lexicon for a long time.
Since he was a sophomore.
Probably too long.
Right. So, it's already been a commitment that's gone for more than a year at this point. Like we're right around the time of which he committed a year ago. And so he would have come onto the scene last spring for people. And he still isn't even a senior in high school. And he won't even be at that high school because he'll be at a totally different one.
I saw he was like tweeting out to his Millard South receivers and how excited he was to work with his Millard South receivers this year. Which
they lost a lot of good ones to college football.
That happens sometimes. All right. So I got one thing that I want to do here before we get to the headlines. But there's something at the end of the rainbow, so just stick with me here. All right. So this is we could do like a This Week in Baseball thing with this. We do have the This Week in Baseball music in here somewhere. Just put it in the background.
Okay.
This Week in Big East Baseball.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
So St. John's beat Creighton 2 out of 3.
They won on Friday and Saturday, and then Creighton got the free square on Sunday.
They did,
but they had to work for that free square.
They really did. A couple late inning comebacks ended up getting it done. So here's how it looks at the moment. Both Creighton and St. John's are 11-4. This is your full and complete Big East baseball rundown. St. John's and Creighton are both 11-4. Of course, St. John's won the series, so they have the tiebreaker at this point. UConn, Xavier were both out of conference this weekend. Xavier beat Georgia Tech on Friday, which was a tremendous win for them, but then lost the other two games. Doesn't matter as far as the Big East is concerned. They're both 10-5. UConn has beat both Xavier and Creighton in their series. So think about that. We think about tiebreakers as well. So if we're looking at seeding, which may not matter because I don't think these four teams are all that different from one another. Here's what you need to know. St. John's has won a series against all the three other teams that are going to be in the Big East tournament at this point. UConn beat Xavier, Creighton, lost to St. John's. Xavier and Creighton hadn't beaten either of the other two in any series so far and play each other on the final weekend of the regular season. I think all three of them have two really good front-end rotation guys. And so the point is they look the same. UConn is almost certain to win out. Pencil them in for 16-5. They play Seton Hall and Villanova. So St. John's needs 5 more in 6 games versus Villanova and Butler to win the regular season. Creighton needs to win all 6 and have St. John's lose 1 and make sure UConn doesn't come into play the tiebreaker scenario either. So St. John's is in the driver's seat. Not that anybody needed to hear all that. That's this week in Big East baseball.
I love this. This is there's a lot happening here with what? How many games left?
6.
6 games left.
Yep.
Yeah. So
once again, just to repeat the absolutes here.
But there's really no danger of none of them. They're all going to finish in the top 4.
I mean, it's not clinched yet, but yes.
Yeah, they can't get swept by Georgetown, basically.
Yeah. Yes. No, they cannot.
For a lot of reasons.
For a variety of different reasons. No, they cannot. All right. So here's your prize for listening to Big East this week in Big East baseball. We have a 4-pack of tickets for next Tuesday night, the May 12th game, 6:00 at Charles Schwab Field. It will feature Nebraska and Creighton baseball. There will be fireworks afterwards, fireworks after the game, and we're going to try and throw it back. We're going to make it like the olden times. We're going to put a bunch of people in the building that night. Should be a nice night for weather. So if you'd like to be a part of it, give us a call right now, 402-951-1620, 402-951-1620, and be caller number 6 because there's 6 games left in conference play. Caller number 6 wins a 4-pack of tickets to Nebraska Creighton next Tuesday, May the 12th, 6:00. Once again, 402-951-1620. We'll be back with the headlines after this on 1620 The Zone. Hey, congratulations to Chad. In this case, you should be a Chad because Chad was caller number 6 and he's going to the Nebraska Creighton game next Tuesday. So enjoy and keep listening throughout the remainder of the week because we're going to have some tickets every day for y'all.
Do we think any Chads or Karens have changed their name because they didn't want to be a Chad or a Karen anymore?
I hope not. You have to be who you are.
For them in that regard.
You have to be who you are.
You're only given one name.
It's incumbent upon Chad to buck the trend of the bad Chads that have come before him.
Just be like Ron Artest. Just change your name constantly.
Yeah, Chad could change his name to Meta World Peace.
Is it still Meta World?
I think it's still Meta World Peace.
Okay. It's not really constant. He just changed his name once.
Yeah.
No, he changed it. I thought he changed it.
He might have changed it a second time. I think he's something else now.
I think there was a name before Meta World Peace.
It was Ron.
No, he is different now. He is Meta Sandiford Artest.
Okay.
I don't know where he gets this stuff.
Well,
something happened in that Mouse of the Palace.
Test is no one knows. So
yeah,
it has something to do with the Mouse of the Palace.
Yeah, it all stems from that.
An incredible player, but incredible is probably strong.
A great defender.
I have
defender.
I have PTSD from him hitting the game winner against the Celtics in the 2010 NBA Finals.
Yeah, that would be tough.
All right, what do we got for headlines?
Okay,
Joe?
I want to give a shout out to Sam for sending this my way the other night. But this first headline is over 8 million thermal jars and bottles recalled after 3 people suffer, in quotes, permanent vision loss.
Oh yeah, I saw. So the company Thermos, like we've been using these thermoses for all of our lives. Very intrigued in this. Very interesting.
So vision loss?
Yeah. So exactly, Schaefer. You're wondering the same thing I am. What in the world's going on? What's headline number 2?
All right. The second one is surveillance cameras with flashing blue lights draw complaints in North Hollywood neighborhood.
All right, we're going to the thermoses.
Yeah, it's the thermos.
I got to know more about the thermoses. This is from Good Morning America. Thermos, the popular food and beverage insulator container company, is voluntarily recalling more than 8 million jars and bottles for injury risk after people suffered permanent vision loss. According to an April 30th recall notice from the company and posted on the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission website, if perishable food or beverages are stored in the container for an extended period of time, the stopper can forcefully eject when opened, which can cause serious impact, injury, and laceration hazards to the consumer. So we're talking about physical harm here. Thermos also shared the recall information on an Instagram story. The malfunction is due to multiple models of the containers missing a pressure relief function in the center of the stopper. The recall includes about 6 million stainless King food jars and 2.3 million Sportsman food and beverage bottles. Thermos received 27 total reports of users who were, quote, struck by a stopper that forcefully ejected from the containers upon opening, including complaints of impact, laceration injuries requiring medical attention, according to the notice. The recall says that 3 consumers suffered permanent vision loss after being struck in the eye by the thermos stopper. Can you believe this?
I cannot.
That is not the way. I mean, there's really no good way to lose your vision.
No.
This is an especially bad way.
But having the thing that you're drinking coffee or whatever out of shoot up and hit you in the face when you open it up.
Now, the key was the extended periods of time thing. So I wonder how much periods of time we're talking about here, but there you go. Various models were recalled here. Consumers who are in possession of a recalled product should stop use and contact Thermos directly to remedy the defect. If you believe your product is impacted, go to support.thermos.com. Follow the instructions to submit a claim.
Please allow between 7 and 9 weeks after all information is received and verified by Thermos before we can process a shipment of your replacement stopper or product.
Dude, I tried to get a replacement because I was under the warranty on my ice maker.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, this is great. It's been under a year, and it doesn't work the way I want it to. So it should be easy. Like, turn it in. I'll send it. I'll do whatever it is. I'll send it. It was the most painstaking thing ever. They had to verify, like, the pictures weren't sized right or whatever it is. I had to send several emails. Took a long time for anyone to get in contact with me. And eventually the last email correspondence I sent back to this company was, screw you. This is way too hard. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to buy a different one from a different company. It literally said that. And I'm sure that's exactly what they wanted.
Right.
But it was the worst experience I've ever had.
I was thinking about this the other day for some reason. Like when I was in high school, my PlayStation 2 randomly stopped working and was still under warranty. And I somehow just got a hold of like this PlayStation Care Center. They're like, yeah, if you ship it to us, we'll take a look at it. We'll get whatever we need to fixed and we'll ship you one back. And it's like I was in high school, just boxed up this PlayStation, sent it to them, and they got me one back within like 2 weeks.
It's amazing.
Wow. And I'm thinking to myself, like, one, I can't believe I did this. The trust that you have of just like that this is actually going to work for you. Two, this is one of the few success stories I can think of where you're actually able to get a hold of someone in a time when
high school.
You don't have to go through the AI hell.
That sounds tremendous.
All of the phone.
That sounds tremendous.
And then they got me and I still have that PlayStation 2. It still works from when they fixed it. So
what a great
success
really story.
I
haven't had one of those in a while.
I know. Well, I don't think they happen anymore. Like that was kind of what I was getting at. Like what an era of time.
All right, let's take a break. We will come back. Those are our headlines for today. The 8:00 hour is up on the other side. Tim Verghese will join us at the bottom of the hour. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, we welcome you back. More of Happer and Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, the Zone mobile app, the Zone radio network. As always, our intrepid producer, Joey Colbert, is always coming up with some delicious new graphics. Did you see his latest work of art during the break, Schaefer? I missed it. Throw it back up there. Go ahead.
What do we got?
It's
Go
up
ahead
there.
and take
Show
a
to me,
peek.
Joey.
It's up there.
Where's Matt Rule?
I think what Joey needs is another stockpile of us doing things.
I need this photo to go away.
the photo of you.
I had to use that one.
You didn't
But,
have to use that one.
I love it.
It's so funny.
It's
almost
very discreet.
It's almost as good as the Nick Grimm looking like a Sasquatch.
No, I don't want to be in that category.
It's really, really good. We can find one of me doing a ridiculous thing. I mean, that's for sure. So that wouldn't be that hard.
They're perfect though. They're perfect for those type of occasions.
Maybe I could just meet in the middle somewhere. I could do something stupid. And
No. Well, I
could look stupid.
I was filming at practice, is what it was.
It was very funny.
It's more just like my widow's peak combined with my lack of hair makes it the saddest looking mohawk that anyone's ever seen. While I'm holding my camera,
You should have worn your Kentucky Derby hat.
I know that would have been great.
Was that Houston or was that OKC?
That was Houston.
Okay.
That was Houston. Yeah.
Should have worn your Derby hat.
I think you were watching. Did you say you found Kevin Suits footage?
I saw. No, because you sent me the picture that you took with that picture.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, interesting, because I see it. No, it was Jake Bartecki. I saw him in the background of your picture. Like he's pointing the camera like right there. So I got to see this. Sure enough, he tweeted out a picture at the exact same moment.
Amazing.
As you did.
Amazing.
It was perfect.
It's tremendous. So yeah, a little helmet tap there to Jake. Appreciate it. All right. Nebraska football, who said they couldn't be a top 15 team in the country? This CBS Sports article says otherwise. Returning snap percentages, production back from last season for every team. Notre Dame is number one, by the way. They return 73% of their defensive snaps and 57% of their offensive snaps. Now, once again, these numbers in whole can be a little bit misleading. I mean,
Sure.
they lose a lot of production, obviously, from their two running backs that they had last year, but they do have a quarterback back who is widely assumed to be one of the best in the country at this point. You get the picture. Nebraska is number 12 in returning snaps back. 57% of their defensive snaps and 54% of their offensive snaps, leading to 56% of their total snaps being back this year. And I will say that this is one of the, if you are to put together a pitch for me, if you are Matt Rule or if you are Nebraska football honk, and your job is to go around the state and tell people,
Honk.
yes, and just start honking for
Honk,
Nebraska
honk.
football. Do you want to go out there and tell people the story of here is the point of optimism for 2026 Nebraska football? I do think you kind of start here.
Yeah.
Like you start with the fact that a lot of what they lost, a lot of what they had from last year is back, and it was young talent who was getting reps in the middle of everything. And so I think that's a real selling point for this group.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw this story, the thing that immediately was like, okay, I know Nebraska is going to be ranked relatively high with this, so that's one thing. Where are the other teams that they play going to fall here? And so then I listed it out for what their schedule is and kind of, what
that's a fun way to look at it.
Numbers are, because right off the bat, it makes me think those first two games against Ohio and Bowling Green might tell us even less than what I was already sort of hoping to be told.
Unless they're close.
If they're close, it tells us a lot in a way that you don't want to be told.
Exactly.
But you would already sort of think that if they were close, right? Like, you know what I mean?
No, because if they would have, if
you have a South Alabama,
if they would have beat
situation.
Akron close, if they would have beat Akron like 35-15 last year, I would have been like, what is wrong?
That's fair.
This is
the
not
wild
good.
thing is Akron actually turned out to be pretty
I know.
good.
Yeah.
Like they had some wins, and I know it's a MAC, but
maybe Houston Christian is a better example.
Houston Christian's the one where it's like, if that had been a close game, it is. And
Akron, South Alabama, that's a good one. It's a good memory.
I remember that game happens, and there was a lot of like, okay, so the end of last year felt really good, and everyone feels like this is a top 25 team, and they just played South Alabama.
Right. So I did not think that.
They're an Alex Davis like 2-yard touchdown of, I don't know if it was a fumble recovery or if it was an interception.
I think it was a
fumble
recovery.
They had a fumble recovery and a pick six in that game.
Yeah.
Eric Lee had a pick six.
Didn't they have a punt return touchdown in that game from J.D. Spielman?
No, they had to have one offensive score in that game.
It was 35-21.
They won 35-21.
Yeah, it was 35-21.
It was a 14-point win that didn't feel like they had accomplished, because it was a 7-point game for a long time.
I'm pretty sure Eric Lee had 2 picks, and one of them was a pick six.
Good for Eric Lee.
And so you're right.
He's bouncing around the coaching community right now.
I thought that team was going to be really good. Everybody thought that team was going to be pretty good going into the year, and then they have that, and you're just like, what? And then the first half happened against Colorado, and you're like, never mind. That's a thing of the past. And then the second happened against Colorado, and you're like,
And then the overtime happened, and it's like, we're living in hell.
Yeah, 2 defensive touchdowns.
And little did we know the hell hadn't even begun for the 2019 season.
Not even close.
2 defensive touchdowns, a punt return touchdown from J.D. Spielman, and 2 offensive touchdowns, which happened in the first half.
Wow.
Dedrick Mills, 2 1-yard runs.
So two 1-yard touchdown runs, 2 defensive touchdowns, and a punt return.
Yep.
Yikes.
Yikes is right. So even more yikes if that were to happen this year against an Ohio team that, as I look at the numbers that I threw down here, I mean, they were the lowest of anybody. No, Michigan State's the lowest of anybody on the list, but they're 110th in terms of total returning production, only 13% on offense. So if Rob Arch and his boys start off hot against Ohio, just know that some of it is a lot of these guys haven't played together and haven't played at this level. And it could be a little rough in the beginning. But I wanted to look at it just to kind of get a picture of how everything's set up. And there's some interesting stuff in here. Maryland returns a ton. Maryland's second in the country for returning snaps. I knew that they had spent a lot to retain players.
Yeah.
And they didn't do as much in terms of procurement. They were really young last year. They had a lot of guys there. I mean, their quarterback was a freshman. They had a couple of those defensive linemen that were freshmen or sophomores that were playing really well coming into the Nebraska game, and then didn't have that strong of a game, weirdly, against Nebraska, but are going to be players to note. And then a lot of the teams are just kind of hanging out there. I mean, you have Illinois and Rutgers are 86th and 83rd. Iowa's 75th. They lost a lot on defense, and then famously lost Mark Gronowski, which I think is going to be the toughest thing for them to replace. I think with Iowa, you worry less about, this linebacker left, because Josie Jewell's amazing, and then we'll just replace him with somebody, and it'll be just fine.
You don't think that they could just get another battering ram at quarterback, and he can just run into people?
I think that their quarterback situation was propped up by Gronowski quite a bit. I think
not that he was spectacular.
For what he needed to be for them and what they are used to. Yes, he was. In general, I agree with you.
They found they kind of found the right formula. That's what I always thought they should have done. Just run him.
They needed a guy that could actually do that, I think.
Yeah,
and they just hadn't recruited. They kept recruiting like
Nate Stanley.
Nate Stanley was one of the better
was
ones.
awesome, but they wanted everyone after that to be Nate Stanley because he's 9 feet tall and he has giant hands.
I was thinking they were chasing Ricky Stanzi every time.
Nah, that's a guy.
Yeah. His American headband.
That's right.
And everything else.
America, number one country. Love so,
Ohio State and Maryland are the only 2 teams that have more returning production. Oregon at 16th, Washington at 24th. So those are your high end of it. The rest of it, Nebraska has some advantage. Now, a lot of this, how much of it actually matters? I mean, we're talking about Iowa and they're 75th. By the time you play them, you're going to have 11 games of those guys playing.
Definitely important. I don't
think it really matters beyond the first month of the season, which already looked pretty light for Nebraska, and outside of Maryland continues.
The other thing that I think is really important here, this particular list is just snap counts.
Right.
Okay. So
not even production.
Bill Connolly does a production one where it's weighted by position group and whatever it might be. And for the record, Nebraska is third in the country in that.
Yeah.
So they return a lot of snaps and a lot of production from last year. And so the question that always comes up is like one we get from the text line right now from John, who says, if your team wasn't very good, is it really a good thing to have a big part of it back? And I think my answer to that would be this. It is easier in this day and age to have a team, like you just mentioned with Iowa, Schaefer, who is going to be way, way, way far down on this on a list like this and not have any returning production. I mean, there's a lot of teams that just change over like 75 to 80% of their roster on any given year. You can have that in this day and age, and you're still good the next year. That used to be a death sentence, right?
Could be, yeah.
It's not anymore, and so we'll see teams come from the bottom of this list and eventually be top 25 teams at the end of the year. At the same time, I do think continuity is important, and whether or not it was good last year is, in my opinion, not outweighed by the fact that you're getting the continuity back. That's how I view it. I think that's what this program needs. I think they need guys who are in the deal for 2 years and for 3 years and to go and play. And I think that was Matt Rule's initial idea in his first year when he got here. And you saw a bunch of young guys just rolled out there on defense, and a lot of them left, and it never kind of came to fruition,
Right.
never came to full bloom. And you're kind of halfway starting over and halfway not. And so I'm never going to say no to continuity for the way that Matt Rule wants to build it, and frankly, the way that I want to see Nebraska get built anyway. So my answer to the question would be yes, it is still a good thing to bring back the production and bring back the snaps, even though they weren't quote unquote good last year.
Well, it's such a stupid framed way to say it too. They weren't good last year. They still won 7 games. Like, it wasn't, again, the way that last season gets talked about by certain level of Nebraska fan is so beyond my comprehension of it. Like, they weren't this atrocious team. Now, what stands out to me, though, is when you're talking about what comes back, at least on offense, is that you don't have Emmett Johnson, you don't have Dylan Raiola, and that takes up a ton of that production. And then you're also going to have some changes with your offensive line, too. So you have more pieces sort of sliding into different roles than it seems like you would based on what those numbers are offensively. But you'll have, Lyndon Meyer back. You'll have Ja'Cory Barney back. You'll have Isaiah Hunter back.
We're talking about, Nebraska's returning production number on offense was 69%, which feels about right.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, like, without, once you add in the production piece of that, though.
If you tell me Emmett Johnson was
returning
20% of your offense or 25% of your offense or whatever it was, like, that feels like a pretty okay number. Maybe it was more in your eyes.
If Emmett Johnson was returning and you had all the same changes with your offensive line with like Jeep Wade and the rest of that, do you think there's a different tenor about this offseason? You have like an all-American running back returning.
Yes.
And you have these changes up front.
So everything last year ends up the same except for
Emmett. Yeah, everything. You still lose all the games you lose. You still look like trash on defense. Dana Holgorsen still can't call a competent offensive game that we know of.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah,
but
I don't know how much
that
different.
One piece is different.
I don't know how much different because the wins are still the wins.
My thing with that is I don't know that it changes dramatically the wins and losses of it, but it changes the feel of how people think about it.
Well, it's something to lean on. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, it's like you're telling me
I want something to lean on.
Yeah. You're telling me the offensive line theoretically is better with a different coach and Emmett Johnson is returning like that. That feels like a huge jumping off point.
I tell you what, one of the things we'd be doing a lot of or more of than we are right now is really going hard on that. Can't wait to see this thing without Dylan train. Which I honestly like. I'm sort of a member of that. Like I'm sort of on that train.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Why are you couching that?
No, like I'm out.
You're a full-fledged member of that train.
No. So let me get my position straight here. I am out on Dylan.
Sure.
I am not completely in on Calandria.
Okay. Well, I wasn't saying that you're in on Calandria.
Right. Just want to make that clear.
I was saying that you have consistently been on the
Absolutely.
I want to see what this looks like without Dylan Raiola.
Facts. Put me in that club.
The rest of it, whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, like, in that train, I'm almost putting you in the conductor hat.
All right, cool. That sounds like a meme.
And you have your arm out and you're going, I don't know why you're doing the trucker thing, but
absolutely. So I'm on that and I'm on the Husk bus.
Yeah. all these vehicles you just find yourself on.
You never know.
Whenever we do radio, you're just randomly in cars.
I think we'd be going pretty hard down that road.
Yeah.
If Emmett was back, because that'd be like the missing piece.
You'd have this star piece to it that you don't really have. I mean, that's part of what makes this offseason kind of fun for me, is that there's no like individual player that I think represents like Nebraska football at the moment.
It is definitely a choose your own path.
Well, you could pick anything.
Yeah.
Like it could be Calandria. It could be, Barney. It could be Isaiah Hunter. It could be one of the offensive. It could be Elijah Pritchett. Like, if the offensive line is great and he plays into being a first-round pick or whatever it is, then that's the sort of face of what new Nebraska football is, with Jeep Wade and running behind that offensive line and yada, yada, yada.
Who would you have said at this point last year the answer to that question was?
It would have been Dylan just by default.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at this point last year, all the conversations that I was having seemingly on every show that I would go on was
Dylan's going to make a jump.
No, it was, what do we think a full year of Emmett Johnson and Dana Holgerson's offense looks like? And we ended up seeing like the really high end result of it, and they still only won 7 games. So it's kind of, what we might be talking, like the offensive line might be great and they might only win 7 games. Now, this 7, I think, would feel dramatically different than last year's 7, but we'll see when you get into the actual 7.
Better. It would feel better. This 7 would feel better.
I mean, some of it is the vibes-based offseason makes you feel like if they won 7 games, they pushed the boulder all the way up the hill. Because of, the boulder being the schedule and the hill being their history under Matt Rule.
It's a big boulder, I guess.
Yeah. I don't think it's inconceivable.
To win 7 games this year?
No.
No, I don't think it's inconceivable. I don't think
for some it absolutely is.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll get to the point where people will straighten themselves out on that.
I don't know.
They'll get excited for football.
I'd like to fast forward to that point.
Well, you can't, Schaefer. Don't make me be like John Bishop and be like, don't skip my summer.
Yeah, well, look, I don't want to skip anybody's summer.
Don't take my summer away from me.
We still got Nebraska playing in a regional that isn't in Lincoln to get to.
We got a lot of sussing out here to figure out, where people are gonna be at we got a long road to get there.
Okay.
I really think so. The tenor will, for one reason or another, evolve and adapt.
Will there be an
the
inflection
next 4
point, or
months.
will it just be an overtime softening of the hardened shell that has been the off?
That's where I'm currently at. The softening of the hardened
Yeah.
shell. Yeah.
Okay. You don't think there's just going to be a lightning rod inflection point?
Yeah, I don't think this is like.
I don't know what that would be.
No, I don't think this is
Which is why when I ask it, I can't actually give you any sort of like. What if this happened?
I don't think this is a pack. I packed my my thermos too tight and left it in there for 6 months, and then all of a sudden it just pops out and wrecks your eyeball. I don't think it's
that is an inflection point.
Yeah, I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that.
That would be a game changer.
I don't know what even that would be. What would that even be?
I have no idea. I was trying to think of what it could be, and I have no earthly idea.
They get like some surprise transfer portal edition.
Someone just shows up in the summer and they somehow in the month of May just added 25 pounds of muscle and grew 3 inches taller and something else. I don't know.
Yeah.
The off-season videos are so good that you can't deny it.
No, that has a high probability.
Calandria's handshakes have gotten so evolved that it's hard to imagine chemistry ever dipping below amazing.
Mm-hmm. That's an option.
That's probably the most likely of.
I don't think that would be like a one big moment though. Oh my God. Have you seen the handshakes?
You won't believe this.
No, I think that's more of the soft hardening shell variety of things.
Riley Van Poppel shows up and he actually looks like Ty Robinson.
From the football perspective, just my observations a month past spring ball now. Like, I don't think people are willing to fully buy into the offensive line conversation. That's fine. I get it. Whatever.
They will by August. That's the thing that I can believe.
I think so too. I started to see a little bit of that old school glimmer in people's eyes when they, that whimsical, I'm amazed by what I'm seeing right now. When people talked about what do you think I'm going to say right now?
They talked about Jamal Rule.
Yep.
Man,
I know. Hey, I see the glimmer in the eye of you all. Not that I see the glimmer in the actual.
I am not trying to dim that glimmer, but do not fall into a trap off of spring football. Again, against your own rush defense. That would be the other thing that I would point out.
People are definitely not in on that.
But yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, if they go out and they shut out Ohio and Bowling Green in back-to-back games, and then you get North Dakota, and it's like, and then you get Michigan State, there's a world where you play 4 teams that just offensively are nowhere near anything like the rest of your schedule. That, we could have a false sense of Rob Arch's defense early in September.
A text from the 402. This is the first time since December I've dipped my toe in the football waters. The water is still a bit cold. Yeah. We're going to warm it up for you.
Hasn't heated up yet.
Nope. We're going to take
let the weather start to get a little warm. Get the juices flowing a little bit.
We're going to put the tarp on.
Put the tarp on?
Well, I guess the tarp's already on. You know the tarp in the pool that's supposed to warm the pool up?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the tarp doesn't warm it up. It just covers it, and the heater in the pool warms it up.
Oh, but the tarp is able to, it helps warm it because the sun hits the tarp.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I was always told about how tarps
I
work.
think there's, a pool heater doing a lot of the bulk of the work.
What if you don't have a pool heater and you just have a tarp?
You probably have.
I don't think we have a pool heater.
Water.
That is way too fast. The tarp is all we got right now. So we're going to check back at Memorial Day, and we're going to see how high the temperatures come.
We're going to study the sun pattern to know exactly what
we should get some nice bright sunshine over the next 4 weeks.
May 18th.
May 18th. That's when summer starts.
Coming this month.
Yeah, we'll check back in on May 18th. See where people's temperatures at that point. Doug in Idaho says tarp keeps the crap out. See, that's another thing that we're trying to accomplish with the tarp.
Look, we're love the idea of keeping the crap out.
And we're keeping the pool at least warmer than it was before, with the potential increase of temperature as time goes on. Just saying, the tarp can do some very, very special and strange things. We'll take a break. Tim Verghese is coming up on the other side. Talk about the recruitment and commitment of Ahmad Hudson to not Nebraska, and a variety of other things when we come back with Tim. Up next on 1620 The Zone. as Schaefer said earlier, we love it when it works out this way, where our guests on a Monday sort of reflect the news of the weekend. So we'll talk to Brunts about baseball after a little while here. And we had a recruiting event over the weekend, and that's where we bring in Tim Verghese from Inside Nebraska. He joins us now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone Hotline. Tim, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How we doing?
Good. Ahmad Hudson, he did not commit to Nebraska. We've been talking about him for a while. You suggested that we might still end up be talking about him at some point down the line, whether it be his recruitment and then obviously his play on the football field. What happened here? Why did Nebraska end up falling just short in the Ahmad Hudson recruitment?
Yeah, so I mean, this has been close through the spring, through the off season. I would say, Nebraska emerged as the leader. I think with some I guess some gap between them and the next contender coming out of that USC visit, which he made back in November. Huskers continued to press the right buttons, had stayed at the top of this thing for a while. LSU closed the gap. I mean, just Lane Kiffin joining the LSU staff, the early effort they put in there helped the Tigers close the gap. But even as of a few weeks ago, the big question and concern, and I put out an update a few weeks ago on where things kind of stood, and part of that was there was some concern, or I would say some frustration on from Hudson and his camp on the lack of effort from Will Wade and the basketball staff. I mean, LSU just wasn't pressing the issue on the basketball side like Hudson and his family had assumed, Hudson and his camp had hoped. And, we got, I think early April, Will Wade finally offered on the basketball side of things. Finally, I guess it would be technically a re-offer on the basketball side of things. And as he put it in his quotes yesterday to our LSU writer, Shea Dixon, it really just came down to they pressed the button at the right time. And as we kind of framed this recruitment, especially over these last few months, but really the whole framing of this recruitment had been Nebraska had put together the best relationships and arguably the best plan on the table for how to develop Hudson as a two-sport athlete. But LSU is the program that's closer to home. He's very close with his family. He's very close with his younger brother, his mom, his dad. Like he's a family guy, and he's an LSU legacy as well. This is what this recruitment came down to, was the opportunity to stay closer home, follow in your father's legacy, and play at a program where you're following behind Trey Green, who's expected to be a first-round tight end next year, who also played basketball at least a little bit on LSU's basketball team. And it's a little bit of an easier projection there compared to at Nebraska, where, like I said, good relationships, established probably the best relationships in that recruitment, in addition to putting out this plan. But, ultimately it's hard to pull an LSU kid or Louisiana kid out of away from LSU. Even if Nebraska was to have landed his commitment here in the spring, I think it would have been very difficult for them to hold on because LSU would have pressed until signing day. And that said, I do think Nebraska is going to keep pressing. They're the one school that I think he would continue to consider just because of the effort and the time Nebraska's invested in this recruitment, the relationships he has with Trey Taylor. It wouldn't necessarily surprise me if he popped up back on Nebraska's campus at some point again before this thing's said and done. But that said, the odds of flipping him away from LSU are probably slimmer than the odds of landing him in the first place. It's going to be difficult to flip him away, but I don't get the sense Nebraska is going to be backing down from this recruitment.
So this kind of sets up the sort of nightmare scenario with Nebraska at the tight end position, where you had Cooper Terwilliger that they seemed to be very interested in at one point in time. There were some other tight ends that were on their board, and now it feels like they are sort of starting over at that position. Is that fair, Tim?
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, that's pretty much where we're at. You like the tight end board that's left is guys that if they visited before, it's been a feel out visit. It's been before they've had an offer or whatever that looks like. The tight end board's in an interesting position. They've made some new offers, particularly in Tennessee, to Parker Newman and Colton Johnson. Both of those guys have seen their stock rise this offseason, so they have some big national offers to consider in addition to relatively recent offers from Nebraska. And neither one of them made it to campus just yet. So those are the two names I would keep an eye on. I mean, I noted it in my video this morning, but I would also say, I mean, look, they were recruiting Hudson to play a pretty unique position within the offense. There's not really a tight end out there in this cycle that I think they can find that can replicate what they wanted Hudson to do within the offense. And so, and on top of that, you look at where the tight end room is at, what's currently in the room. I get the sense they'd like to add a tight end, but with what they need to do this cycle with the spots available, I don't know if addressing tight end is necessarily a necessity here in the 27 cycle. I think you'd like to see them add a body in the room. I think you'd like to see them ideally add someone that can contribute in the way that Luke Sorensen did. I mean, I thought they did well in finding and then landing Luke Sorensen last cycle. If you can find someone similar in this cycle at this point, probably the best you can do at this point, but I don't know how hard they push at this point for a tight end that's not named Ahmad Hudson, just because of what they wanted him to be within this offense.
Tim, I thought your colleague Steve Marek over at Inside Nebraska had a pretty good rundown over the weekend of about Anthony Calandria and sort of what they can create out of him and how these Diego Pavia type of like off schedule plays can, are going to be a part of what they do. So I want to ask you, like, how do you create? I mean, first of all, it does feel like this is a talking point over there. Second of all, how do you create a situation where you could build an offense around one guy's, kind of up and down playmaking ability? It seems like a little bit of a high wire act that they're going to try and go for here.
Yeah, very much so. But it comes down to, I think it takes quarterback understanding his skill set and understanding what he does well. And I think the emphasis from Dana Holgerson in spring ball talking about, look, in previous years, I've talked to our quarterbacks about standing in the pocket, progressing through reads and making a decision. With Calandria, it's one read and then go. And that's what it kind of has to look like is I wouldn't say you change what he's looking for pre-snap. You change what the quarterbacks are looking for pre-snap. For Calandria, this isn't anything new. This is what he's done at UNLV. I would say that it's some of what he did at Virginia as well, where you again drop back, you take your first read. If that's not there, you start taking off. You start rolling out, and then the second part of this is another big emphasis from this coaching staff in spring ball is making sure receivers are running through their route. You don't quit on the route. You work through the route, and then you're constantly working back towards the quarterback, seeing where his eyes are, seeing where he's going, and then adjusting to him as a result. I think where this gets really creative and where this can get really fun is when you start getting that buy-in from the receivers. And that's what you saw, I think, in Diego Pavia's tape. It's what you've seen in some of Calandria's tape early on when he starts to go off schedule and it's not necessarily even a wide receiver deep downfield. It's sometimes as simple as, okay, running back recognizes that running back in pass pro recognizes that the quarterback is rolling out, needs another option to throw to. He releases, gets flat, or goes up against the sideline, or he's running. We saw it on Calandria's tape, but it's just a simple mesh concept. The receiver runs through that route, sees that Calandria is rolling out with him. So instead of continuing that route flat, takes it vertically. The DB can't hold with him. And Calandria is able to throw that over the top and turn what should have been an underneath throw into an explosive game. So that's what that can look like when it's executed well. But what that takes is the quarterback, and Nebraska has a quarterback now that's experienced with it and understands how to do this. It takes a quarterback like that, but also takes significant buy-in from the pass catching group. And it's not just the receivers. It's going to be Luke Lindenmeyer. It's going to be Luke Sorensen, Carter Nelson, whoever else they ask in that tight end room to be out there. Needs to be them. It needs to be Mekhi Nelson, Isaiah Mosey, and Jamal Rule. Those guys need to be active and aware on where Calandria is on the field and making sure when he starts to roll out, they're getting into a position where they're giving him an opportunity to make a play.
How much do you think the potential for 5 for 5 and the fact that there's going to be some guys that would have an extra year of eligibility cuts into what Nebraska might have done recruiting class numbers wise? I think they were looking to have a bigger class than a year ago, but does that change now with the fact that you could have some more players come back, or just to keep those spots open for the portal where, not just the players can come back, the portal size is going to be bigger because less players have to leave college football now?
Yeah, I would say I think it's going to be. I think you're going to see. This is going to be obviously. I've said this before, and again, I don't think anything changes with this. This is going to be a much bigger class than last year, potentially twice as big. Now, that said, I don't really know now on the total number they'll take here out of pure high school recruiting because again, like I think the match just has to change between 5-for-5 with NIL, with where the roster's currently at, what this roster needs. Um, you can't really afford, and I don't think in this cycle Nebraska can really afford too many longer burn type prospects. I mean, if you're bringing in guys, these are guys that, I mean, and look at the class already. I think for the most part, both of the receivers in the class are relatively high floor guys. I think Tay Ellis in particular is a high floor guy. And then Caden Howard's the guy that needs to add some size, but you like what he can do. Just the natural speed he brings. He just put down a 10-3 over the weekend. That's his PR now in the 100 meters. He's gone from a 10-7 this spring to a 10-3. He really improved that 100-meter time, and again, a guy that the staff would love to keep in the class. Trey Taylor, of course, high floor quarterback prospect. Amir Brown, high floor running back. You have to bring in guys with relatively higher floors. So I think that's where the numbers kind of change. Is we'll see how they attack this summer. Key positions of need. I look at offensive line. I look at edge rusher. I look at defensive line, linebacker. Those key positions, how they attack this summer, and then moving forward. Okay, like let's say they don't address defensive line, for example. Like let's say they get 2 defensive line commits. They're still holding out on a third, of a potential third. At that point, I think they would evaluate what's left out there, what they can potentially find at the high school level, and evaluate. Does it make more sense to maybe find a third defensive lineman here in the high school ranks, or does it make more sense to save the spot for the transfer portal, or do we save the spot for someone currently in the room that we didn't think was coming back next year that we now think can come back next year? That's going to be something I think the staff's going to have to figure out, and I don't know if we're going to get a clear idea on where this thing stands until once we get through official visits. Because again, there are a few guys, there's a few numbers and a few positions where I think they can afford to be a little flexible at because they need some instant contributions at, and they can maybe afford to bring some of those guys in. But it depends on how they fare with some of their key targets. Like again, defensive line, they're in it for a few relatively higher floor targets. Nehemiah Onbody recently announced his top 3. Nebraska's right in there, and they're going to have a shot to land his commitment. They just got another visit from Zamar Tooks, another 4-star defensive lineman. They're hoping to land. We'll have to beat out Florida, Penn State, in Georgia for. You have Waylon Wooten still out there, 6'1", 315-pounder. His recruitment's gotten really interesting. Georgia and Ohio State are turning up the temperature, but Nebraska still looks positioned to earn an official visit from him. So there are a few recruitments out there where it really just depends, and I would say positions, really just depends on how they fare. Defensive line is one of those key positions where if they don't fare the way they hope, then I think the class looks a little smaller because they probably saved that money and save those class spots for the transfer portal. I would say offensive line in a similar position, but I think Jeep Wade's done a good enough job with that board where I think they're going to be able to land 3 to 4 high school offensive linemen and kind of cap the class at that. That's where we're at right now. I'm going to be curious to see where things stand coming out of June.
Yep. All right, Tim. Great stuff as always. We appreciate you stopping by. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Of course. Appreciate you guys.
Tim Verghese from Inside Nebraska. You can check out all of his stuff there. He's got a couple of interesting ones up right now, including the recruiting blitz from over the weekend, and also a good little story about how Nebraska and Penn State. Remember Penn State, the new Iowa State? They keep running into each other on the old recruiting trail.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Fascinating. We'll take a break. Round out the hour. A couple things to cover. Once again, Michael Bruntz will join us at about 9:15, 9:20. Talk some baseball. We're back after this on 1620 The Zone. Now I realize we don't live in a market that really utilizes this very much, but wanted to give a shout out to our fallen Spirit Airlines, who is no longer with us.
Sad.
Did you hear the stories about how they just? I mean, it was like it was a middle of the night thing, and it was just like, yep, we're done. No more flights. Everybody is unemployed immediately. And if you are like say if you're in the middle of a trip right now and you're waiting on your return flight home, sorry, you cannot take Spirit Airlines. It was not a weaning off of Spirit Airlines.
Just an incredibly well-run company, from what I can tell.
There was a Spirit Airlines captain that was supposed to retire on that.
I saw that one, Joey,
one night,
yes.
and Southwest Airlines
They gave him the whole shebang on the way
they gave
back.
him an honor.
Even though he was a passenger on the flight that he was supposed to captain, he was supposed to be his last flight.
That's really nice.
And Southwest was like, yeah, we got you. We come on in and we'll give you the hero's welcome on your way back. So that was
Spirit famously ushered in the a lot of the cost saving metrics.
The ultra low cost airline.
Yeah. No, that's their legacy is that not even their low costs could save them. They also, I think, were pretty famous for buying other airlines' oldest planes for their fleet.
Nice.
So there's always kind of a thought process that, if you're flying Spirit, you're on an airline or on an airplane that's like a good 15, 20 years older than
that's all right. They can get there.
I think I used them once, maybe.
Never flew a Spirit airline.
Never did.
How much did it cost you? $28?
I think it was more than that. They had like some of those flights that if you were flying down to Miami and then you would jump on one of those cheap, like a Suncoast kind of thing. They had a lot of those flights out to the Bahamas or whatever.
SunWest. There's all sorts of airlines. We have randomly lost a variety.
We lost a lot
airlines.
of airlines of mergers and everything else
over the years. I mean, we used to have quite the variety of airline options. We just don't anymore.
There's like a Milwaukee-based one called Midwest Airlines that then
Midwest Express.
Yeah, it was bought by Northwest Airlines, which was then bought by Delta. But Midwest,
and
you
then
would
there
get
was
served hot cookies on your flight. That was their big thing.
Warm
cookies
food on
for your
flights.
snack. Yeah.
Which one did Southwest eat? I feel like they ate somebody.
Well, I'm sure they did. I don't know which one.
This Wikipedia page.
The Delta one's the one that I know
Wikipedia
the most
page.
because I'd flown Midwest and I'd flown Northwest and then
AirTran Airways.
AirTran.
I don't
Yes.
know Airtran.
AirTran, right?
AirTran.
Is that right, Joey?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Everybody's eating all the airlines are just getting eaten by each other, except for Spirit. Nobody wanted to eat Spirit.
Hopefully someone writes a book about Spirit Airlines and it's written in the sort of manner that a lot of your
I would think Frontier would be the one that eats Spirit.
Well,
Spirit's gone. Nobody's eating it.
Oh,
Frontier they were like the first to join the Spirit Club of, you know what, we're just going to make everything cheap and make it seem cheap, and then you have to deal with it.
Now we have Allegiant, which
Yep.
is I think it's turned into your ultra low cost airline. Southwest is trying to make itself a not ultra low cost airline anymore. They're trying to say, here, you have to get assigned seats and pay for bags and all these different things. I don't know what. There's got to be a study on this. This is where I would really like to hear from our dear friend Sam, who is an aviation absolute nerd. All I see from him is tweets about airlines, which, by the way, I very much appreciate.
The Sam the lax Sam or
no different Sam.
There's different Sams because you do this where you say Sam, and I know there's multiple Sams.
Yeah,
and I think we need to have some sort of delineation.
This one's Creighton Sam.
I can guess which Sam is which.
He's always tweeting about airlines and things like this.
Okay.
And so I don't know what this is not what this show is about, by the way. I'm just wondering out loud. I've had this thought before, so now you have to hear it. I don't know what the right business model for airlines is anymore. Let's dive into it. 402-951-1620. What's the proper business model for airlines these days?
I wonder why you couldn't sell flights in bulk.
Like, Costco Airlines.
Yeah, like someone pays every year, they pay to be a member of this airline, and you get like 5 flights out of it, and the flights have to range within a certain cost level, and then you can apply them whenever you need to.
Buy 6 for a year.
Yeah, something.
And
like
then
that.
you pay what, $1,000 or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like
You'd
that?
have to figure out what the price point for it would be.
That's an interesting idea. You should start Mike Schaefer Airline.
I
Schaefer Airways.
think I need to have a lot more capital to start my own.
You probably
airline.
need a couple planes.
Now, if they need someone to throw ideas at them, I am for hire.
Well, you could just offer your services to Spirit.
A part-time job. I just need I need a consulting business where I know nothing about your business, but I'm willing to offer ideas.
You are the idea man.
I love to offer ideas.
Albino Tornado writes in, Midwest Express was baller. All first-class style seats. They got eaten up by Frontier. Allegiant is more vacation only, not daily flights and not main airports for leisure like Sanford versus Orlando. I don't know what that last part means, but anyway. Yeah. Thank you for giving me the rundown on airlines and things of that nature.
We like airline talk here.
I do. Airlines. I like planes.
Someday we're going to do a show from the new Epley.
And it won't even have exposed wires anymore.
It'll be great.
That'd be a fun show.
Aaron writes in, he says the proper airline model has forced them to lower prices by having more high-speed rail and public transportation.
I mean, we've missed that boat.
Yeah,
pretty significantly.
Yeah, I think it's easier to just do
airplanes on the dock.
Yeah, we're going into the air, folks. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back 9 o'clock hour. Still going to talk to Michael Bruntz, cover a couple other things as well, including the Savannah Bananas. They're always doing something. They're always playing banana ball. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. Hey, thanks to those of you who entered in the 1620 The Zone Derby draw, where at the end of the day, several of you were assigned to a horse for the Kentucky Derby. Sorry to Nicole because the Puma scratched late, right? It happens. Who was
Puma scratched in the morning.
Scratched in the morning. Which was the horse that flipped out?
21, I believe.
White Hope, I think, was the one that
Yeah.
had the outburst right before the race.
Great White?
Yeah,
Great White.
yeah.
Great White. Josh, sorry, Josh. That must have been sucky to watch. The horse had just gotten this Derby draw just flipped
the whole
out.
party, you got everybody over like, I'm about to win this thing.
But congratulations to Terry, who is our winner of the Derby draw. Terry, if you're listening right now, Terry C, by the way, Terry, the winning Terry, will be contacted later on this morning or afternoon. So congratulations, and you're going to have $200 coming straight at you, straight up on your grill. So congratulations to Terry, and thanks for playing. We appreciate it. We'll be doing plenty more things like that as we go forward. Couple comments on our great idea. First of all, from J-Man, come and fly the Schaefer skies today.
Schaefer skies, where it's always sunny.
Also, Alex, an airline subscription service. What the fresh hell is this?
Yeah,
I think it's a great idea.
It's I don't know. It's like I think it would make sense because there's people that just wouldn't use it, and it's for like a 1 year. You know, you get 1 year to use these 6 flights.
Yeah, absolutely.
January 1 to December 31st.
Yeah, test it out. It's like Pro Football Focus.
Be a lot more expensive, but
a little more. Yeah. I mean, Pro Football Focus is expensive.
I would not know.
We can throw out some promo codes.
Yeah.
Throw out some promo codes for people. If you're in on the ground floor, we'll get you, pretty good deal. 10 flights for an undetermined amount of money that we haven't made up yet. Keenan says Amtrak used to do something similar where you could buy a 10-day pass and then take as many trains as you wanted for those 10 days.
That would be cool.
I'd like to go on those trains.
That'd be quite the game because you can't go very far on the trains because the trains take multiple days to like get, but you could make a round trip happen in that period of time. That's pretty good. I mean, that's basically what it does, right? It just pays for a round trip on a long trip or a bunch of short haul trips if you just want to spend a lot of time on a train.
Spend even more time going through airport security.
These are options that you apparently have and that you could have with Schaefer Airlines. Fly the friendly skies. We'll give you a warm cookie too, just like Midwest Express.
I think it's Midwest Air. I think Midwest Express and Midwest Air were 2 different things.
Oh, really? I didn't know about Midwest Express. I remember I could see the plane. Yeah, Midwest Airlines is different. You're right.
It was Milwaukee. They were based out of Milwaukee. And I'm not like someone else needs to back me up on this cookies thing, but I remember that.
I remember meals on planes in general. It just doesn't happen anymore.
Famous for serving warm, freshly baked chocolate chip cookies on flights.
What?
Signature best care in the air from Midwest Airlines.
Let me tell you something. The little graham crackers that they're giving out on Southwest flights these days, they're giving out a thing of graham crackers and a thing of like pretzel twists.
Yeah.
They're very good.
Yeah, those pretzel twists.
They're very good.
You can get those at Costco. I think they sell them there now.
I'm interested.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna grab some.
I've had a few friends discover this and they've been going back and forth about it.
Let's talk some money for a couple minutes here.
We love to talk money.
The Big Ten distributed, you ready for this? $1.37 billion in revenue.
Billion with a B.
For the 2024-2025 fiscal year. This was, of course, the first year of Super Mega Conference where you actually got to see the payouts. So that is up from their payout in the fiscal year prior, which was $883 million. So 1.37 billion is a lot more. That is a 55% increase.
Whoa.
Of course, fueled by its nature, which is of being a super mega conference. Also, Ohio State won the national championship that year. People forget about that. The individual payouts are sort of interesting. 16 schools are fully vested at this point. Ohio State got 91 million from the league. Penn State got almost $9 million from the league. Other full members received in between 76 and $80 million. Nebraska included in that group. And then Oregon and Washington are getting partial rev shares until 2030 because they were viewed as like just sort of toss in add-ons on the USC UCLA deal, which that really sucks, but it's a whole hell of a lot better than being in the non-existent
That's
Pac-12.
kind of what Nebraska was in, though, and they were even a sought-out thing. Like, they didn't get their full share for years. People
it was
still
many
get mad
years
about that.
It was many years.
Yeah. So
and Rutgers and Maryland just got full share like 2 years ago, I think.
Right. Well, doesn't Rutgers have a deal where they borrow money against future money, and then so they don't get like a normal full share? Like, they get paid out their share, but then the conference holds back some of it because they borrowed.
I think that
their
sounds
financial situation was so bad.
that sounds
or
vaguely
remains
familiar.
So bad.
Yeah.
I don't think I just invented that in my head, but I think that's like a thing going on for Rutgers.
Tony Petiti made $4.5 million.
What an amazing job.
Are you ready for this, though? Tony Petiti made $4.5 million in fiscal year 2024, 2025.
Sure.
Jim Delaney made $5.82 million in fiscal year 2024, 2025. Not when he was commissioner. Jim Delaney
Just in consulting?
Jim Delaney made more. Now, this is in bonuses and deferred compensation, as well as $600,000 in consulting fees.
Have your children grow up to be
Conference
super mega conference commissioners.
So
you get none of the scorn or hate of the coaches.
Not only did
really
Jim
hard
Delaney
to be replaced,
Jim Delaney made $600,000 for doing absolutely nothing, aka consulting fees. He also made an additional $5 million for doing even further amounts of nothing.
and there's people that are like, oh, I don't know why we had to do this NIL thing.
Yeah, there's people. Well, I don't want to go all Jay Billis here, but Jay Billis is probably sitting there reading the story right now. He's saying, "Oh, they say there's not enough money in college athletics."
Yeah, no, I mean,
you want to talk about tired shtick? Jeez.
But the thing is, there's like we talk about all these different things with the TV deals and all of it, and you're paying a guy who hasn't been your commissioner for how many years?
It is pretty funny.
$5 million. Like,
he hasn't been the commissioner since 2020.
Yeah.
Was it 2020?
No, it's before that, because Kevin Warren was the commissioner in 2020 when he threatened to kick Nebraska.
This is Delaney led the Big Ten from 1989 until his retirement in early 2020. So Commissioner Kev took over right before COVID.
Wow.
You're like right during COVID. Nice job by him. I don't think he's earning any money from the Big Ten these days.
Yeah.
He's just
question whether he's even earning money from the Bears.
Yeah, he's just taking money from Bears.
The Ham Bears,
I suppose. The SEC, for the record, said that it had distributed more than $1 billion to its 16 members for fiscal year 2024-2025, which was an increase of $200 million and averaged about $72 million per school. So the Big Ten ever so slightly higher in both categories. So congratulations. Not only winners in the national championship, not winners in the courts, but winners in the money, that's what really matters.
That's all we play the game for.
As long as the conference commissioner is able to distribute more money to its member schools at the end of the year, really nothing else on the field actually matters.
But they're winning on the field, so it all kind of works together.
I guess it does. Dan writes in, the Big Ten is also paying Bobby Bonilla for some reason.
I do enjoy Bobby Bonilla.
It's almost Bobby Bonilla Day. We're 3 months away from Bobby Bonilla Day.
I really enjoy Bobby Bonilla Day.
It's still not going to be over for another 15 years.
I know. It's incredible.
It's awesome.
The greatest deferred payments anyone's ever seen.
So good. It's really, really genius on his part. Also, I want to take this time to talk about the Savannah Bananas real quick.
Sure.
All right. So every time the Savannah Bananas do anything,
you're triggered.
No, I'm not. I wish I didn't have to see it so often and so much of it. I wish maybe this is just a me thing. Maybe I should just block them or something like that, because I don't need that. I don't need the TikTok on the baseball field thing in my life. And that itself doesn't anger me. It's just the frequency in which I see it. And then there's this whole discussion that comes off of it. And remember, they're coming here in 6 weeks, basically. And the discussion that comes off it is just like nauseating. It's the same thing every single time. You'll see them get talked about. Then there will be this like counter thing is like, I can't believe how dumb this is. And then other people will be like, hey, look, it's for kids and for family and anything for great entertainment for a couple hours. And I'm like, I'm not against that. I'm not. And then we just talk ourselves in circles this entire time. And so I'm looking forward to that happening to the extreme in 6 weeks when they're in town. Thank you, Savannah Bananas, who played in front of 100,000 plus at Kyle Field at Texas.
Kyle Field.
And they had the dude perfect guy.
They did have the dude.
Texas A&M guy.
Did you see the dimensions for the field?
No.
Yes, I did.
You told me it was very stupid, or it was going to be.
It was bad.
Stupid.
The left field wall was about 8 feet off the infield.
Woof.
It might be like 12 to 20, but
woof.
Not very much. I think it was like 165.
How feet high or how tall?
Well, they had a net, I think. So probably mostly because they were worried that people were going to get murdered by balls. And then the right field was extremely long, So this whole playing on a football field thing is really not, has not affected them at all. They don't care.
I'm as interested in the setup at Memorial Stadium as I am in the game itself for when they play there, when I will be attending on June 13th.
So I imagine it'll be turf, right? Like they can't take out the turf and put it in the grass for a game. But anytime I've ever seen this done, they've played on a grass. Well, no, I remember seeing them once. They did it in.
You watch a lot of Savannah Bananas.
No, I can just imagine the places that they
over here rage consuming.
Real invested.
The college football places they've played, to my memory, have mostly been grass because they've mostly been Southern. They've mostly been SEC schools. Yeah. Like Clemson did it. I think they're not in the SEC, but Southern.
The general point taken though.
I think they did. I want to say they did like the Panthers Stadium, and I think that's turf. Also, don't ask me how I know whether these stadiums are turf or grass or not. But
you care a lot about grass.
I do.
You're not Matt Rule, but you do care.
I like how stuff looks. I like figuring out how stuff is going to look. And so we'll see what it looks like at Memorial Stadium
on June 13th.
June 13th. And then Haymarket Park. Who knows? Maybe they'll do a pop-up show at Millard West.
That would be fun.
It would be fun.
I would like it.
They did a pop-up show at some high school in Texas last week.
And you got the concert from who was the band?
Plain White Tees?
No.
All American Rejects.
All American
Same thing.
Rejects, yeah.
For me. Occupies the same space in my brain.
Definitely not for me, but now I'm trying to think of why it doesn't. They just seem like very different bands, but I think it's because I heard them at different times.
No, they seem exactly the same to me. I couldn't even tell you. I think all their songs mixed together. Maybe they all.
I tell you one Plain White Tees song.
They collabed on all of them,
and it's "Hey There, Delilah."
All right, so we got a minute or two left. Joey, what's up? How you feeling?
I'm feeling
We're
great.
Clearing out. Am I standing in the corner?
ISO play.
All right, hands on my head. Right.
ISO play for Joey.
I'm feeling great.
Joey, it seems as if correct me if I'm wrong. The Boston Celtics blew a 3-1 lead.
Yes, they did.
And lost at home in Game 7 to the Philadelphia 76ers, and 3 of their starters scored 0 points in Game 7. What do you think?
It was a last-second gamble by Joe Mazzulla, and I don't know why. He decided to not play Nikola Vucevic and played Garza instead. One of the guys he played, Ronnie Harper Jr., the son of Ron Harper, the Bulls' legendary point guard.
0 points.
Yeah, 0 points. He played only the first 4 minutes. He recorded the steal, and then he did not see any game action after that.
Baylor Shireman, 0 points.
Yeah, just did not have a good performance on the offensive end. Jaylen Brown played great in the second half. Derek White had a good performance. Just everything was good in that lead up in the fourth quarter until like the last few possessions. They missed 10 of their last 11 shots. They had so many opportunities to hit a go-ahead bucket. And they were the right shots. They weren't falling. Pritchard has been missing.
What about like the
shots.
Season overall, Joey? I mean,
this was considered a gap year, and I consider getting that 2 seed, playing a 7 seed in the first round. you would expect to call it a successful season if they would have made it to the second round, face the New York Knicks.
Even though they were supposed to win that too, according to the seeds.
Yeah, but after how Game 5 and 6 played,
betting favorite in the East.
They were the betting favorites in the East. But they had a 13-point lead in Game 5 at the start of the second half, and then everything just went bad from there. I have some comments about the officiating, how they treated Joel Embiid, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm just still a little triggered by that. Jaylen Brown explained it on his Twitch the other night.
Yeah, well,
constant
I don't know.
about it.
I saw his video.
I just
he's
don't,
like, yeah, Embiid's flopping.
He's the most fragile player to league.
Foul audit.
Maybe. I mean, it could probably lead to that.
I see him climbing on Baylor Shireman's back. There's no call there, but then someone touches him, breathes on him. There's a whistle.
There is.
There's my little.
There's a lot of fouling going on in those games. That is thankfully not called. Good job by the NBA officials.
It is, like I said, I think being an NBA official might be the toughest out of all of them. Just how fast the movement is and how strong these guys are.
Got to be pretty.
And it's easy to believe these players flopping all over the place. That's for sure.
They flopping.
It's easy to fall for that.
All right. Well, the Celtics are gone.
They're not the balls,
and our lives are
ballless.
Our lives are better for it, except for Joey's.
I don't have a strong opinion on it.
Yeah, I'm fine with the Celtics.
If I felt like a team out of the East could actually win the NBA Finals, it'd probably be a little bit more interesting to me. But it seems unlikely any of them would.
You don't want to put the Pistons up there against
Pistons
Oklahoma
and Spurs?
City?
We'll see if the Pistons get by the Cavs.
Spurs.
We'll see if the Spurs and Thunder, right? Like those are the two teams.
Yeah,
everybody's just waiting for that matchup.
It's going to be like the olden times in which the West Finals is going to be better than the actual finals. Man, we're throwing a lot of throwbacks to the olden times these days.
Spurs has the Thunder's number this year. They've won. I think they won all 4 or 3 of the 4 matchups.
Alex and Lincoln says, "Why didn't Baylor Shireman score more points?" Joey, can you answer this?
Because he missed shots. There's your answer.
He did. He was flying around with all of his hair and all of his tattoos.
And Joel Embiid's climbing on him. No foul.
The climbing, do we think the climbing is what prevented it?
It had to be part of it.
Probably.
Got something out of whack on a shot.
It had to be
probably.
All right, we'll take a break. Michael Brunts is up on the other side on 1620 The Zone. All right, we'll see if we can track down Michael Bruntz from Husker 24/7, talk about some baseball, and he might be calling right now. This is a good time to mention, though, the D1 Baseball Top 25 refreshed as of today. Shout out Kendall and the boys. Nebraska, are they ranked? Yes. They hung on by a thread in the D1 Baseball Top 25 at number 25, dropping down 9 black spots from number 16 last week. But are they going to host a regional? That's where the experts come into play. And Michael Bruntz joins us now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Hello, Michael.
Hello.
What's up?
Nothing. What's going on?
Nothing. We're just talking about if Nebraska is going to host a regional anymore.
Yeah, you guys mocked me, didn't you?
No, we didn't mock you.
30%.
I
was mocked.
We were just a little surprised that you were so low.
Yeah, well, it's baseball, man.
It is baseball.
But yeah, will they? I don't know. They've got no margin for error now.
How much is your percentage dropped over the last 4 days?
I thought you were over 50% last week, and so you'd be coming back down under.
I was back to 50. I was up to 50 last week.
Okay.
I don't know. Probably I'm under 20 now, I think.
Wow.
I don't. It's tough. I mean, it's. I think the disappointing part of the whole weekend was even after you lost on Friday. I mean, you were still, nothing changed RPI wise, and you still had the opportunity to come back and win the series, and it's tough to do, certainly when you drop Friday. But just I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a series in 2021 against Rutgers where kind of a similar outcome at the start of May, where the bats just suddenly didn't look quite right. Nothing seemed to go, to plan. And that, ended up, in addition to the Big Ten only series, kind of hurting Nebraska's chances to host that year too. So, you got to get right with the bats because the approach was just not great all weekend. I mean, that, with apologies to Ohio State, it's not like they were trotting out Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, and John Smoltz in those 3 games. So, I mean, that's kind of the concern because the offense has been consistent and good all season, and just not a good time to, really struggle.
So, like, as far as a panic meter here, are you pressing the panic button? Or are we like, give me a 1 through 10? How concerned are you that this could be a hangover for Nebraska baseball for a couple weeks here, or even just into the next series with Iowa?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think the one thing that maybe is kind of interesting or unique with the schedule is you actually don't have a midweek. So, you're basically just sitting with that performance for a full week, and you're coming home. I mean, I would hope that, seeing Iowa in the opposite dugout would kind of get the juices going a little bit. I mean, I think that was the thing that was probably the most surprising about the weekend, though, was just didn't seem to be the adjustments at the plate that they've been, able to do pretty well this season. And, I mean, they probably saw fewer than 25 fastballs on Friday and just didn't really adjust to the off-speed stuff. So, I think it's a mature team. They've done a pretty good job, I think, of bouncing back when they've had to this season. So, I think the other thing that you'd like to see a little bit more of, Cooper Katsky really struggled on Sunday in his start, and that's 3 in a row for him where it just hasn't looked as sharp as he was to start the season. So, just I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things too where it's like if you lose one game, maybe you don't have to kind of take a hard look at yourself. But, with the way that series went at Ohio State, I mean, I think you probably have to really go back to the drawing board a little bit and readjust a little.
So in the fall, we're going to do a pie chart of blame for how these losses, if they happen, or wins for Nebraska, what the biggest factors were. What percentage slice would you give something like the baseball gods for looking down on Troy Dannon and the season ticket holder, snafu that happened earlier this week?
Yeah, I mean, that's I don't think it can be ruled out. the baseball gods are a finicky thing, and you poke the bear with the diehards, and that happens. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think that probably deserves all the blame, but it's certainly probably in the conversation in terms of how this works. But no, I mean, I do think that's at least been pushed to the side a little bit now as a storyline. So maybe that's fortunate for Nebraska in that way.
Brents, they've been able to manage, with having a few inconsistencies as far as what the pitching has given them on a night-to-night basis. They've shaken up the weekend rotation a couple times. It's been a process to figure out who are going to be your trusted arms out of the bullpen. And throughout that time, they've been able to manage the entire time. And then one weekend, the offense, kind of no-shows, and we got the result that we got. Is that pretty much confirmed? Like, hey, in order for this team to go where they want to go, they're going to have to bring the bats to the table?
Yeah, I mean, they've, all season been a top 15 offense in the country. And, is a big storyline this season has been Nebraska's improvement in the midweeks. And a big part of that is just, that they've had the offense show up pretty consistently. And, Ohio State's, a fine program, but I mean, you get 4 hits on Friday, 4 on Saturday, 5 on Sunday. I mean, it's tough to win baseball games no matter what level you're at with that kind of offensive output. So, the guys that you kind of have been counting on and have been good all season were not good this weekend. And, when you're not able to score runs with any kind of consistency, that puts a lot of pressure on your pitching staff. And, they really haven't had a ton of games where, Nebraska's had to come out and win like a 2-1 game with just an absolute gem. I mean, they kind of did that last week at the end with the finale against Illinois, but, for the most part, the offense has shown up and been pretty consistent. And I think it's, probably one of those weekends where, no matter how good the pitching was, you were going to be in trouble just because the offense, the approach wasn't good. I mean, you only had 2 extra base hits, I think, on the whole weekend. So that's a tough way to live, especially for a team that, I think has done a pretty good job for the most part of finding extra base hits and being able to score runs with some consistency.
Brunt, switching over to football here, Cody Nagel over at CBS Sports put together kind of the chart of all of the returning snap counts. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it. Does it mean anything to you that Nebraska would be 12th or is 12th right now with 56% of their returning, or 56% of their snaps from last year returning, including 54% on the offensive side of the ball, 57% on the defensive side of the ball? Does that matter a lot to you as you kind of size up what's ahead of Nebraska in the 2026 season?
Yeah, does that include transfers? Do they factor that in?
I think these are purely the snaps. I'll have to look at how he explains it, but I will get back to you on that.
That's kind of a tell that I hadn't seen it, obviously, I guess. But no, it doesn't matter. I mean, it matters. I mean, how much? I don't know. I mean, I think what they've added to that veteran group is good. I mean, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, you look at having Brendan Black as a multi-year starter at guard, and what Mabenga was able to do at the other guard spot, and kind of pairing that with Justin Evans, who's played a ton of college football, and Pritchett at the left tackle spot. I mean, I think that matters. Certainly having a guy going into his 4th year at quarterback, I mean, that helps you, even though I know that doesn't, factor as much into that discussion probably. But I don't know. I mean, is there a benefit to having, some more veterans on the defensive side of the ball as you're transitioning to a new defensive setup? There's probably some value there. I do wonder in the transfer portal era if the effect of that is maybe not as strong as it was 10 years ago. But I mean, I think anytime you can kind of be old and stay old nowadays in college athletics, I don't think that's a bad thing.
Brunt, what's going on, by the way? Are you okay? You seem a little out of breath, and I heard a dog barking.
Well, I'm outside. I've currently got some work being done in my kitchen, so didn't think you needed the jackhammering in the background.
No,
so
I would have said stop the hammering. Okay, so that's good, and the lawn's looking good. Everything nice and fresh out there. You got a chance to really show it off today.
I do. Yeah, it's all right. It's getting there. It's still early.
Still early. Let's
still
develop.
in spring training mode. Is that kind of where you're at still, huh?
Yep. Yeah, we're just getting the starters some early at bats and sending them home, and that's basically where we're at with the yard right now. So
light work for our good friend Michael Bruns from Husker 24/7. All right, Bruns, we'll talk to you later. Enjoy that kitchen remodel.
Yeah, it's hell over here, guys.
See you later.
See ya.
That's Michael Bruns.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's hell over here, guys. We'll run into Bruns.
When you were asking and you mentioned the dog, I was like, what if he just forgot that he was on and then he was out for a walk and then the dog had gotten away?
Well, I figured because I pair that along with him not answering when we called him the first time. I'm like, something's going on. It sounds like some sort of chaos out there. He was definitely out of breath.
Yeah,
maybe that was
chaos.
just a thing that I picked up because I've done too many phone interviews with him over the years. He's got a very, very calm
cadence.
Yeah, really, really interesting, pretty consistent cadence. And that was not a normal one for him. He had some stuff going on. But I have done crazier ones with him. I don't know what was going on in the background, but back in the day when he had younger kids. Yeah.
No, I understand that entirely.
No doubt about it. All right, let's take a break. We will come back. We have our bracket sim of the day. And I want to throw one more thing in there regarding our bracket sim of the day. You know how Ken Palm has they do like the top 25. You have to be top 25 offensive and defensive efficiency by whatever date, and then you actually have a chance to win the national championship. There's some folks who have made a stat like this to try and predict a national champion for baseball.
Oh.
We'll see who qualifies when we come back on 1620 The Zone. Enter online 1620thezone.com for the Peak Playoffs giveaway. Winner will receive a $250 gift card to Twin Peaks. Big day, historic day. Today is the day that Joey's schedule prediction came out.
It is.
It's out right now at Joey Warcola, and there are many, many games that have been predicted by
272 games.
One man, 272 games, 272 predictions. Now, I guess they're not 272 predictions. We do know some of them.
There's 270 predictions.
We only know 2 games?
Yeah, because they announced the Cowboys and Ravens over in Rio.
And then the opener.
That's week 3. That's
And then
the opener in week 1.
That's it. That's all we for sure confirmed now.
Yeah. At the moment.
All right. So 270 predictions. Nowhere could you find a higher volume of predictions in a string of tweets. So go find Joey's schedule prediction. I think that we should probably take a couple things, study this, and pick out some nitpicks tomorrow, Schaefer.
I like this. Yeah.
Do you like it?
Might as well.
Do you like what you see on the?
I see a Vikings-Panthers game in a stadium that you want to visit.
The bird killing stadium.
We could go watch Bryce Young versus probably Kyler Murray, but maybe 9.
Might as well let Austin tag along, famous Panthers fan.
That's true. I did share with Mike Schaefer that I want to go to the bird killing stadium, and look at it, week 10.
Week 10.
This is just a prediction, just a Joey prediction.
Yeah, it's a prediction.
But we do know the Vikings and the Panthers do play each other.
Yes.
So at least we have that.
It's NFC North and NFC South this year.
It's funny how many of the fill-in hosts, their NFL teams, are on the Vikings schedule this year.
Oh yeah, the Jets,
the Saints, the Jets. The Michael Snow wears a Lions sweatshirt because his wife claimed that they should be Lions fans.
Snow doesn't care about the NFL.
Well, I asked him. This is why he was wearing the Lions sweatshirt the first time he filled in.
Interesting. I didn't even know that. Yeah. Didn't even know that happened. All right, so we'll take a deeper look tomorrow, but you can find it at Joey Warcola. All right. Bracket sim. The bracket has changed. A weekend has occurred in college baseball. And a couple negative things have happened for our local baseball teams. Creighton has been removed from the bracket as the projected Big East champions. Sad. And Nebraska has been removed from their own regional.
They gone.
As a host, thank you, problem solver, Troy Dannon. We appreciate that. Where will they go? They go to a rivalry built on respect. Norman,
Wonderful.
Oklahoma, where they are the 2 seed in the Norman Regional, playing the Sooners, the Gonzaga Bulldogs, and High Point. Plus plus. Let's simulate this bracket. And wouldn't you know it, High Point gets out of the regional according to my simulation, which that was shocking to me. And then they end up losing to Georgia Tech in the Super. This is a very interesting Connor World Series for the record. Well, you're simming it along with me as well. Did Nebraska advance?
No, Oklahoma made it to the College World Series.
No. And is it it's the Connor World Series, obviously, as well.
Yeah, excuse me. They made it to the Connor World Series, which features Virginia, Wake Forest, Florida State, USC, Oklahoma, Auburn, Mississippi State, and Florida.
A little too blue bloody for my liking.
A championship game of Florida over Florida State sounds awful.
I'm okay with Florida State. Too much Florida recently.
Yeah,
mine is Ole Miss, Michigan, North Carolina, USC, Georgia Tech, Oregon State, Liberty, and Texas, with a championship series of North Carolina and Texas, which is just a battle of people of my generation when they were 13 years old rooting for each one of those teams. North Carolina wins the Connor World Series over Texas. There you go. To the projected bracket we go. In the projected bracket, Nebraska is back hosting a regional. And guess who else is back? Creighton.
Whoa.
The projected Big
You're
East
going to Tallahassee.
champs, but not the current.
Honk. Was Tallahassee on the list of acceptable?
Yeah, I would take Tallahassee.
Okay.
I'd take Tallahassee. I'd like to see what's going on down there. We're going to simulate this bracket. Creighton doesn't advance, and neither does Nebraska out of their own league.
Sad.
Clemson, Tennessee, and St. Joe's again. This is the same projected bracket as last week. Clemson advanced.
We have a College World Series. Nebraska has made the CWS out of the projected bracket.
In yours.
They
on our second of two sims in the projected bracket.
In the Schaefer sim, they win the Lincoln Regional. They beat Arizona State, who is favored in the Super Regional against them, which is kind of interesting. This would be kind of a fun field, not for you, obviously, but UCLA, Georgia Tech, Georgia, Kansas, UC Santa Barbara, Nebraska, Virginia, Tennessee.
That's kind of cool. Without
a Georgia Tech, Georgia championship game.
Nebraska and Kansas on the same side of the bracket.
That would be fun.
A losers bracket game.
Santa Barbara being the team that beat UCLA would be kind of fun.
Interesting. Yeah. You could do a losers bracket elimination. First.
Oh wow.
First game on a 150-degree Monday, where it's Nebraska and Kansas just playing for their lives, and 900 pitchers are used. That sounds like the best possible result.
I said Tennessee. It's Texas. I have the T's messed up when I look at these.
By the way,
There's too many T's.
This is a fun field.
T's, but not enough big T.
UCLA, Georgia, Mississippi State, Cincinnati, Georgia Tech, Coastal, Clemson, and USC, and we have a UCLA Coastal Natty. So Coastal goes back to the national championship series and still loses to UCLA.
Is there an ejection in a potential game 3?
There might be if that one umpire shows up again.
Like the first inning.
Could be. Cam Fluke will be back in there. All right, those are our bracket sims of the day. Check out Joey's projections on Twitter. We cannot wait to dive into those tomorrow. And we appreciate you all listening today, as always. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. Crossover with Matt is coming up next.